on YouTube in case this room gets filled. You can also share the live YouTube video link with your family, your friends, and your colleagues. All right, it's about to get started. It's about to begin, right? But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I would like to invite the convener of this session, the person of Toba Best, to give us a warm welcome. Hello, Toba Best. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Of course, I'm so excited. You don't know how I'm feeling. When we have almost everybody on the call, almost everybody that we invited, they are here. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining. And quickly, let me, I want to explain the reason how, maybe starting from how Standout Professional, I don't want to bore you with a lot of story. I was thinking somebody will be able to do that for me, but let me just go ahead. Right. So when we have Standout Professionals, I think they were just a group of people who came together looking at the needs that we have in our environment and our community. And I just came up and I even without understanding of the major thing I was doing then, I was instructed divinely to start WhatsApp group. And that was about 9 years ago, where we started the WhatsApp group. I'm sure many people then, they don't even understand what WhatsApp group is. And that was exactly what we're using to do everything that we're doing. And all what we're doing to just help people to have their career knowledge, how to write CV and cover letter. And at the end of the day, we transfer from there to inviting professionals to come and speak to us. And today we are where we are, still building and still want to go further to where we are trusting God to lead us to. But what happened? Why do we pick up this conference and the title Bridging the Gap? I noticed, I just relocated out of Nigeria not quite long, and I noticed something that many people that I met in the country where I am currently, in a way, so to say, they don't, how will I put it? They try as much as possible to do what they can do. And many people believe, and they tell me that it is not possible for you to have your career running in this country because you are Black. Some people even say that, some people say it's not even possible to practice what you practiced back then in Nigeria because you are Black. And I just look at it that, no, I don't think, honestly, I believe what they said. But I came across professionals, great people, wonderful people in this United Kingdom that told me, come on, guy, in fact, your color is one of the advantage that you have to join groups, because so many people, I'm sure they're going to be talking to you. And one of the, in fact, the major person that I met was Mrs. Desola. And she has been coaching me, she has been helping me, giving me a lot of knowledge. And I just look at it that, no, I don't think this will not be only in United Kingdom. I'm sure some people in the US, they may be facing the same problem. Some people in Canada, they may be facing the same problem. Some people in Germany, some people in Ghana, a lot of places that they'll be facing. So, and I got the leading to look for people of like mind, people that have both what we call track record, both in Nigeria and outside the country, to come together and also give us their professional advice to how we can move from where we are to the other place. And then, of course, I value information so much, and I know, and I value mentoring and coaching, and I know people that we have in this house today. Some of them, we have to go and dig them from, we have to go and pull them out. So that's why if you are checking on internet and you want to know exactly who these people will be, I'm sure you may not get much information. Some of them, they don't even have time for maybe social media or something. They are just on their private place, doing their work, imparting life, helping people. Why some are also out there doing it and also doing it right? So I don't look at it. It's not everybody that we want, but we need people with track record who can advise us and give us the best knowledge. And so we look at it, bridging the gap, and we are looking at the skills set that is required for people to move from where they are to the next level. Even they travel out of the country, or maybe they are planning to travel out of the country, what are the requirements? What are the things you need to do that? And that's exactly why we are here today. I don't want to say a lot of story, because at the end of the day, I'm sure let's just sit down and learn. At the end of the day, the story will be told by himself. Thank you so much. Thank you, Temitope.
Thank you, Papa Best, for that warm
Right.
welcome. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here, honestly, and I can't wait to hear all of our amazing speakers share their nuggets. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, let me see some fire emoji in the comment section. If you are ready, let me see some fire emoji to say that, okay, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. If we don't see, we are ready, we are not starting. Okay? So I want to see your, we are ready, we are ready, we are ready. It's only one person I've seen. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. We are ready. Are you ready? Hey, the people I'm about to bring on stage, they are powerful people. So it is a privilege to even have them here. It is a privilege. So the best you can do is to welcome them, give them a warm welcome with your fire emojis. If you can clap, virtual clap, why not? All right. Thank you so much, guys. I can see you. I see you. I see you, Felicia. I see everyone. Thank you so much. So going straight into it, we'll be having our keynote speaker in person of Mrs. Taiwo Dayo Abato. Please, ma, are you here? Can you hear me?
Hello. Very well. I can hear you.
Thank you, ma. Please do us the honor of introducing yourself, and you can go into the session properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Standout Conference 2023. My warm regards to the convener and to every member of the planning committee, and also to all invited speakers. For members of the audience, I hope you are sure, or you are ready for a good time this evening. Wherever we are on planet Earth, I want to formally welcome you to this event. I will share my screen while I give a brief introduction of myself. Please, can you enable me, please, to share my screen? I've been introduced. My name is Taiwo Dayo Abato. I'm a human resource professional with about 25 years of work experience, transversing almost all the sectors of the economy. I've been in banking, I've been in financial services, I've been in health, I've been in FMCG, I've been in quick service and retail, I've been in travels, and currently I'm in travels. Yes, I currently work for VFS Global Services. That's the largest visa outsourcing company in the world, owned by the largest investment firm in the world, that's Blackstone. And I manage HR for Sub-Saharan Africa. I manage all people operations for Sub-Saharan Africa. My workload basically transverses about 20, 30 countries in Africa. I call myself a nomadic HR because I really, really move around. I'm a licensed coach by the International Coaching Federation. I'm a trained life coach. I'm a mentor, a career mentor to a lot of people. And I express my giftings. I express my want to impact my world via several platforms. I currently run the HR Foundry. HR Foundry is a gathering of young professionals or HR professionals from 0 to about 30 years experience. Currently, we're about 1,500 on that platform. We're in our 4th year. I'm the convener of Taiwo's Coffee Chats. I'm also the convener of HR Banters with TDA. I currently run a mentoring platform called the Premium Mentoring Program with TDA, basically for young professionals who are trying to up their game in the place of work. So that's basically who I am. I'm available on all social media platforms as Taiwo Dayo Abato. And once again, thank you, Toba, for giving me this opportunity to be your keynote speaker. Let me check whether I've been given the permission. Great. So let me share my screen and we'll dive into it. For those of us who are in diaspora, or for those of us who are at one point or the other traveled and you got the opportunity to go through either the underground trade or the tube, you hear this word when you're trying to disembark from the coach onto the platform. You hear this word, mind the gap. Mind the gap, mind the gap, mind the gap. The gap basically is that space between the coach and the platform. And if you're not careful and you don't hit that advice, you may lose a foot. You may lose a foot. Now, our world has changed. We know that. It's no longer news to a lot of us. And while some may still be trying to battle to come to the reality or their understanding of that change, for a lot of us, it has been a positive, I remember 2018, 2019, I was thinking, you know, when you so much understand yourself, you're so much self-aware. And I was telling myself, I'm beyond this terrain. I'm basically just beyond this terrain. What must I do to put myself in that global space? And to a lot of people then, they thought I was crazy with the way I was trying to prepare myself for my future, which is now. We'll be talking about a few of those things at this point. You see, yes, it's good to pray. Yes, it is good to trust people or have faith, but you need to put in the work to get to where you need to get to. And that's the topic or the theme of this conference, bridging the gap. We need to get to the understanding that there's already a gap, whether we like it or not. The gap even starts from school, with the quality of graduates being churned up from our universities and the reality and the needs of organizations. There's already a conundrum, there's already a disparity, so there's already a gap. So the understanding that there's a gap starts from there. And then when you now get into the place of work, there's also a gap. Is it the place if you can still hear me, do let me know. And if you can still see my screen, also do let me know.
But we can't
Your
see.
line is breaking. I can hear you now, ma.
We can hear
You can hear me
but-
now.
Yes, ma, we can hear you now, but
Yes, I
we
can
can't
hear
see
you.
the screen.
Can't see your screen.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, coming up.
It's coming up.
Yes, ma, thank you. Right.
Okay,
Is it
yes,
up
ma.
now?
Yes, ma.
Yes. So we tell ourselves and we say, oh, there's so much disruption going on around us. And then COVID happened. And it challenged a lot of our mindsets. Most of us had fixed mindsets, but COVID challenged some things that we felt could never change. COVID brought us to a new reality. And then bringing it back to Nigeria, the NSAS happened. Another disruption. While companies were just trying to come back from COVID, then we had NSAS. And another reality dawned on us. People lost life, people lost properties, they lost a lot of things. But then you know what that new world brought about to us? Knowledge came to us on our palms. You didn't have to travel before you could get a certification or you could do an exam. Universities were available with online programs, and then you could register. So education came to us. Learning was more available to us. And then there was a war in Ukraine. We said, oh, it was Ukraine. It's not our business. Russia and Ukraine. Me, I'm in Nigeria, or I'm in Africa, or I'm in Canada. Well, it's none of my business. But we now know that impact on the world's economy, the impact on the world's economy, and what is happening when it comes to fuel and crude oil. And another reality was that COVID became the passport to travel. If you didn't have a COVID vaccine certificate, you couldn't travel. That was a new reality. So you had to ask yourself, do I want to be a global citizen, or I want to stay local? And that actually challenged again our mindsets, our religion, a lot of stereotypes were broken. And then we had the Great Migration, which is still happening. And I would say that it's a reality. For some of us, we've migrated. Toba has migrated, and a lot of people have migrated. Some are still planning to migrate. By virtue of where I work, I see the crowd on a daily basis, not only in Nigeria, at all our locations across the 135 countries. I see that. I see people wanting to just leave the countries where they are to better climes. And as long as the economic conditions and the realities stay the way they are, people will still move, Businesses are also changing their dynamics. No longer 5-year strategic plans, no longer 4 years or 2 years. We're now having 3 months, because in 3 months, a single government regulation would win the business. In 3 months. Now, the world has become everybody's business. People are more concerned about what is happening in other countries, because indirectly it will have an impact on you, or on you in your life, and everything happening all around you. I just put this here just to set the tone. Now, in our interconnected world, so another thing that's happening is that the world of work has become borderless. And for a lot of you can see I'm smiling, opportunities abound. That is a mindset I want us to change. Opportunities abound, because the world of work has become borderless. In our interconnected world, we have witnessed a consistent pattern, and that's a significant gap that exists between the knowledge, skill, and cultural awareness of young professionals as they set forth on their journeys across continents. I see that being prevalent. I interview across. I deal with a lot of nationals. And I consistently see that, particularly cultural awareness. Now, this gap, often unforeseen yet impactful, can determine the trajectory of your career and personal growth. And this, but I'm talking about the gaps in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, and cultural awareness. Now, the journey to bridge this gap starts with understanding their existence and impact. Somebody should write in the chat room, knowledge, skills, and cultural awareness. These are gaps, and we need to understand that they exist and also understand their impact. Now, the significance, there's a reason and an importance of why we need to bridge the gaps. Now, I'm going to be talking basically periphery. Our other speakers and panelists will now be going nitty-gritty, and just to set the tone. Now, understanding the significance of bridging these gaps lays the foundation for meaningful change. So you have to identify, you need to understand that they exist, and understand that, yes, they exist. They're also very important to the trajectory, let me use to myself, of my career. Now, as we progress on this discourse, remember that your efforts to bridge this gap extend beyond your own aspirations. Well, I want to be an HR professional. Well, I want to relocate to Canada. They're bigger than our personal aspirations. And the first we need to know is to recognize that there are disparities. There are disparities. The world we inhabit is both vast and also interconnected. And like I said, it's offering boundless opportunities for growth and exploration. And it's also very apparent that disparities, like I said before, knowledge, skill, and cultural understanding can impact our journey. These three can actually impact our journey. Many people have missed out because they're not culturally sensitive. Many people have missed out because they haven't sharpened the sword in terms of skills acquisition. Many people are very good with hard skills, poor with communication, poor with emotional intelligence, poor with political awareness, poor with a lot of other soft skills. Now, they are stepping stones to transformation. Now, bridging this gap would help you. You need to bridge those gaps because they are stepping stones to your own personal transformation. And there comes an empowerment when you become aware. Somebody should type in the chat room, I want to become aware. The more aware you are, the more empowered that you become. Imagine someone who is very emotionally intelligent. There's a particular kind of empowerment that comes on you. Imagine someone who's very culturally aware. There's a form of empowerment that comes on you, particularly for those of us who are operating or would also want to operate in the global community. You need to be aware. Cultural intelligence, cultural awareness play a very key role, like I say again, in the trajectory of our career. I think at the beginning of this class, before we opened the door, myself, we were all chatting, and I was listening to another conversation, and in the scheme of things, okay, Toba was one talking, saying that being Black is an advantage. Somebody should say that it's an advantage. They're looking for us. They're looking for talents like us. I won't say like me, just say they're looking for us. Being Black is an advantage. I have enjoyed that advantage. Imagine you're looking at the organogram of an organization and you're the only Black face amongst the top 14 leaders across the world in that global space for the organization. And then they say, we need that Black face there. We need you there in the scheme of things. So you're important, you're required. They need you. We need to begin to break some stereotypes and some mindsets here today. You are needed, you are required, you are valuable. You're valuable with you being Black. Yes, after saying all that, I'm running very fast. What are the challenges faced by young professionals? What are the challenges faced? So you're trying to relocate, or you've migrated, or even where you are, and you're trying to go beyond the borders of Nigeria, beyond the borders of Africa. One of the challenges is navigating uncharted waters. Even making up your mind as a young professional to move, it's a bold endeavor. So first of all, you're excited, everything looks promising. But it also comes with this unique set of challenges, which stems from the gap, like I said again, is still knowledge, skills, and cultural awareness. Now, there's another gap, challenge faced, is cultural immersion and adaptation. Cultural immersion and adaptation, that is also another gap. Now, the transition to a new work culture can be daunting. How do you embrace new work ethics? Unspoken norms and culture, social cues. They require a mindset that is adaptable and a mindset that is flexible. So you hear things like, I can never. Some words should just leave our lingua completely. I can never, I cannot, I don't. Some words should leave your lingua completely because you need to be flexible and have an adaptable mindset. Now, a misstep here in cultural immersion and adaptation could impact your relationship with people and hinder professional integration. We should also understand, we always hear these things, that perception rules the world, how you are perceived, which is linked to what you know or how culturally aware or intelligent you are. Another challenge with that young professionals face is skills alignment and evolution. Now, the skills that made you stand out in Nigeria or made you stand out in Ghana, made you to stand out wherever you are, you may need to adjust them abroad. I have had to go through a lot of skills adjustments. New environments will demand new competencies, completely new competencies. And you need to recognize this and actively evolve your skill sets. Becomes very critical as Jermaine. So you need to say, what skills do I have now? In my new world, in my new reality, in my new normal, what skills do I need to have? And do a realignment. Which ones am I dropping? Which ones am I going to hone? And which one am I going to acquire? Another challenge professionals face is networking challenges. You want to build a professional network in a foreign land, it could be quite challenging. You don't speak the language, or you speak the language not that polished, or you speak the language, you're polished. How do you want to break into those communities? And you need to begin to establish meaningful connections, which requires, again, cultural understanding and interpersonal finesse. If you're still with me on the call and you're gaining something, please let me know. We're still talking about the challenges that young professionals face. And so we're asking ourselves, how do you unleash your potential? I'm rounding up. How do you unleash your potential? You have to embark on a personal odyssey. Tell yourself, it's my personal journey. You're not in competition with anyone. You want to walk at your own pace, and it becomes your own personal journey. So it's not just about geographical movement. Some people believe it's until I leave Nigeria and I move to Canada, I can't make it. It's a wrong mindset. It's until I leave Ghana and move to Nigeria, I can't. So it's not just about geographical movement. If you are led to move, move. For some of us, it came on a platter of gold. For some people, you had to work for it. If you're convinced that you have to have a geographical movement, that is fine. But it is beyond that. The first law of success says, first within, then without. That journey starts from a transformative movement within yourself. It starts within you. Within you. You also need to be extremely self-aware. You need to be self-aware. Recognize your strengths, areas of improvement. If I ask us on this call for the young professionals, and how many of us have actually identified and set our values in life? What are your values? I ask, what are the 4 values that drive you as a person? How many of us have coined up personal statements for ourselves? I think I put out a post on LinkedIn on that. On your personal statement, who you are, what you are called to do, what your temperament is like, who you are with what is your personality like, what values drive you, what are your goals in life? Can we put up a personal statement of ourselves? And all these things come from a level of self-awareness. Your culture and the wisdom of your experiences, your own story, all this comes together to take you to a level of self-awareness. And when you are self-aware, it also comes with some sort of confidence that helps you to have an edge in that competitive world. When you unleash your potential, it becomes a catalyst of growth. Now you are able to bridge these gaps. When you bridge the gaps, you become more exposed to new ideas, to new techniques and outlooks that broadens your horizon, And also you're able to discover your hidden capabilities. A lot of us have capabilities that we even haven't unearthed, that we haven't even discovered. And when you are able to bridge that gap in terms of knowledge, skill, and I'm mentioning 3 areas, cultural awareness, it will really, really help you to unleash your potential. So how do we do this? We've said so much. Our world has changed. It was rational why we need to bridge the gap. How do we bridge the gap? This is where we are now. The strategies. 1, mentorship. Mentorship. You need to seek guidance from experienced mentors who can provide insights, advice, and a roadmap for navigating those challenges. I would say I'm a beneficiary of mentorship. In terms of branding, I got mentorship. Communication, I got mentorship. In terms of HR knowledge and exposure, I got mentorship. So you need to get mentors. Spirituality, I got mentorship. Health and wellness. Somebody needs to be there to shine the light for you. And as you are getting a mentor, you also need to get a sponsor. Many of us are mentored properly, but somebody needs to be on that table to speak for you. Somebody needs to be on that table. So your mentor would help you to become who you should be. The sponsor would open the door and the gates for you, because we have gatekeepers in organizations, in the global space, in countries, we have gatekeepers. You need to commit to a life of lifelong learning. Learning is a continuum. It must be lifelong. I was chatting with my mentees and I said, if you spend an hour every day on your area of core competence, you become a maverick. You become a maverick. I have just recently identified 35 new HR courses that I'm dedicating 2 hours every day to learn. I don't have to share the certifications that I get from it, but I want to be a maverick in my area of core competence. So committing to a life of lifelong learning. You need to also volunteer. It's a strategy for bridging the gaps. So some people have relocated, some people have gotten job opportunities, job offers, some people have been exposed to people at the high echelon of life because they chose to volunteer in activities. Also, you need to be part of industry association. I was talking to someone, also a mentee, And she said, my work is so voluminous, my work is so engaging, I don't have time to associate. I said, continue. You need to be part of industry associations. Join professional associations related to your field. You need to assess network opportunities, attend conferences, get opportunities to have resources, and just help yourself to be in that space. People remember those who remember them. You would only come to people's mind when they see that you are in their faces, you are in a community, and that is how opportunities move around. If you're looking for someone, they won't go outside of that network. They will look for someone within that network. Also, job shadowing. Spend time observing professionals in your chosen field to gain practical insights into workplace practices. Finally, there are two things that come to play here that I'm bringing out. Empowerment through knowledge. You need to keep learning. You need to keep learning. Embrace learning as a lifelong journey, equipping yourself to lead and shape a dynamic and interconnected world. And then also embrace your journey. If there's nothing you're taking away from what I'm saying today, these two, very important. Empowerment through knowledge and embrace your own unique journey. Embrace your own unique journey. In conclusion, your journey begins now. The journey begins now. There's that adage that says is when you wake up, that's your own morning. It could be somebody's morning now. It's 20 minutes to 5 p.m. here in Lagos, Nigeria, and somebody's just getting an aha moment from this session. That is your own morning. So your journey begins now. Identify your gaps, craft a strategic plan, which starts with your own personal mission statement that has your values, what drives you, who you are as a person, and your goals. And then confidently embrace challenges. Many of us need to become a bit more resilient. We always think the grass is greener on the other side, but what will make you to overcome is resilience. Challenges are not obstacles, but opportunities in disguise. So approach them with unwavering confidence, knowing that each hurdle you overcome contributes to your growth. So I will ask a question. How prepared are you? That's a question you need to answer in your heart. Am I really prepared? Has it just been wishful thinking? Oh, I wish, what do I need to start doing now to bridge that gap? Thank you, everyone. I hope you got something from this, and I'm open to questions at this point.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Loaded. TDA. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for addressing the crucial theme of this conference, bridging the gaps in international career pursuit, and also for sharing the insight and perspectives to bridge the gaps. I hope you have gotten something, my fellow audience. The journey begins now, and how prepared are you? How prepared are you? With that being said, we are going to the next item on the agenda, and I'd like to invite my panelists, introduce them. I have on the list, these guys are powerful people. I have Mr. Toby Odunowo all the way from Canada. I have Mrs. Margaret Agbonifor all the way from USA. I have Mrs. Adesola Anyide from UK. I have Mr. Niria Amiwo from Ghana. And of course, I have Mr. Oluwole Joseph from Canada. And of course, our convener, Toba Vest from United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready to receive my panelists as much as I am, again, I want to see your fire emojis in the comment section. I want to see your fire emojis. I want to see you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. I want to see your fire emojis. Don't worry, there's going to be time for question and answer. Mrs. TDA is with us. She's not going anywhere. You can note your questions down or you drop them in the chat box. I am noting them for the after session. Okay, Mr. Odunowo, I cannot see your face yet. Toba Best, I can't see your face yet. Mrs. Margaret, I can't see your face yet. I want to see your faces. I want to be sure you are with me and you are ready for all of my questions. Mr. Oluwole, I can't see your face yet. Mrs. Margaret. Mr. Niri I don't know if I'm getting that correctly.
Just call him Benjamin.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, I think that's
Yeah,
fine.
right.
Before I break my teeth.
Yeah.
Please, if you are here, say hi to me. I want to meet you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
I can
lovely.
hear you,
Good,
Mr.
okay.
Toby. Thank you.
Wow, I'm so excited.
Is it? It's so
Can you hear
obvious.
me?
I'm excited. Yes, Mrs.
Yes,
Margaret, I
ma'am.
can see you.
Good, good. Good morning, good afternoon. Hi, Toby. Good to see you again. It's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely. Hi, Margaret.
Okay, I think we are complete. Are we ready? All right. So the very first question on the list is, I would like each and every one of you to tell us your migration journey. How did it start? What led you to where you are right now? So we want to hear your migration journey. So I don't know who is going to go first. Maybe the convener can start first, then others on the call can follow suit. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you so much. Okay. My journey. Right. I think it has been for, I think about 20 since 2010. So when people ask me that, Toba, you now finally Japa, I always tell them that I did not Japa, I actually relocated because my journey has been, so I went to a program hosted by Redeemed Christian Church of God about almost 10 years ago, right? Or more than 10 years ago. And I saw almost everybody that came for the program. They had something, so it was called Business Masterclass. And everybody, they had something to do with abroad. They are either doing a program in the United Kingdom, US, or Canada, or they have something to do in they just have something to do abroad. And I just look at it, and I've been having these nudge things. I think I'm not always very comfortable when I know those people who knows my background very well. So Mama is here. She knows me right from the beginning of my life, and she can testify. I always want to share knowledge. I always want to impart my word. This is what I love doing with my life. And so I just look at it and I'm not sure that I can get this thing done at the four walls of Nigeria. And since then, I've been applying for applications. I was denied almost, I think in United States now, I think this I've been denied twice, United States. In Canada denied me once. And at the end of the day, I was lucky to marry a lovely sweetheart. And we met back then in school. And as a result of that, she studied nursing. And by God's grace, I was able to move with her. And today we are here where we are. Thank you so much. I think that's my journey. So it wasn't just a sudden one. It was a family relocations and it wasn't Japa. So thank you so much. All right.
All right, thank you, Toba Best, for sharing. Can you hear me? Thank you for sharing that. So yours was through marriage. All right, so I think Mr. Toby can go next. Mr. Toby.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
Yeah.
My journey, my relocation journey. Okay, so I relocated to Canada in 2019. Prior to that time, I will say I was fortunate to have a good career going for me in Nigeria. And I've always really, from my very early days of my career, had the opportunity to travel abroad. So I'd been this, if anyone has ever read about the organization called ISEC. So ISEC gave me a platform, and I was actually able to work abroad a little bit. I worked in Ghana, I worked in India. I traveled to so many places. So it wasn't like I was freaked about going to live abroad. I believed so much in Nigeria at that time, and I felt, we just needed to all put hands together and make it a great country. But the things that happened. Looks like it looked at the time like things were not going to move very quickly. And when you get to a point as a family man, you also want to think about your children. So I was in 2019, as that 2019, I was working with Total, the oil and gas company. Um, Great career going for myself, as I said, doing very well in terms of performance, like getting my promotions mostly faster than my peers. But I needed to make that decision. I needed to ask myself, what do I want for my kids and for myself in terms of and I don't want to get into the details where I start to get very emotional about my disagreements with the state of Nigeria. But honestly, it got to a point where I was not totally sure about my security. So a couple events happened, which all of us have probably experienced: somebody coming to burgle your house, or somebody attacking you in traffic and stuff like that. And you don't blame the people, it's just the situation of the country. So 2018, we made the decision to start the process for permanent residency. Things moved very quickly compared to what it has been for most people who did theirs after, because of COVID. But ours moved very quickly. Things happened. I think all the process probably took under a year, and we got a permanent residency. Came and landed in the July of 2019 with, not fully decided yet on should we move, or, should we still wait for a while? And then I thought about school fees for my kids, 3 kids at the time will have to go to school. And I said to myself, what, the amount of money I was going to pay for them to go to school, I probably just use that, as part of my relocation funds, and they will get good education here without having to pay for it mostly. So anyway, that's how we made the decision to relocate. Maybe we'll get more into what happened after that. What was it like settling down in another country? But that's probably the quickest way I can explain it.
Thank you for sharing such an interesting journey. Thank you so much. Mrs. Margaret, you're next on the line.
So good again to hear from Toby. Toby, I mean, it's been a while. We've known for a long time, and it's good to see him. So I relocated about in 2011, so that's about 12 years ago. And the reason for the relocation was it was more situational. And I came in here, and I have all my kids here. And at that point, I had one, and in situations I had to stay back, and that's how I started my journey. And but there was one thing I had at the back of my mind is like, if I'm going to be relocating, I'm not going to start from the scratch. I have to be prepared enough to like hit the ground running. I'm not going to start from being okay. Let me step back a little. So whilst in Nigeria, I worked with Adeco. Um, I was there for about 5 years, and Adeco, we were exposed to a lot of big companies and big stuff going on, and that gave me the platform to see that there is more to what we do than just being a local champion. So working with Adeco, um, I was a business analyst. I mean, looking at it from today, that's what I did then as a business analyst, working with all the companies, and that gave me a platform to relate with people at all levels, and most especially decision makers in the organization. So, in doing that, I realized that hey, this guys aren't more. They're not. Once you know your audiences, you can fit into any society. You can do what you think you can do. So when I had the opportunity to come over here, I just said those things straight, saying, okay, if I'm going to be relocating, I need to make sure that I have X, Y, Z in place. And I followed through, and 12 years later, I can still say, yes, it was a good decision I made at that point. So probably as we go on, I would delve more into how I settled in, making sure I didn't have to start from the scratch, all the things I needed to do to help me transition smoothly. I remember my first job was an HR coordinator, so I just even didn't move from my field. I stayed on my field. But when I came in and I met with a couple of people, again, the association, the people you meet with when you come into a country really matters for you to transition smoothly. So I met with, and it's funny, it's going to be a very funny story when I share the story of how I got into the system, my first job, how I got my first job, how I posted my resume online, how a recruiter called me and interviewed me for 2 hours only to tell me, I don't have a job for you. I just see your resume online. Everywhere I click, any platform, your resume pops up. And I'm like, this girl is coming from Nigeria. How can she know all these things she says she has on the resume? So when I got into her office, I spent 2 hours. I thought I'd gotten a job. And at the end, she's like, I don't have a job. Like, I just wanted to hear you. I wanted to be sure that someone from Nigeria would know all of this stuff. That you do HR in Nigeria? And I'm like, come on, 2 hours? But she's like, you know what? I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to help you reposition, realign your resume so that you're not just, you have a lot. I mean, like I told you, I work with Adecco, and in Adecco, at that point, they made us do a lot of stuff. We thought it's part of our doing one thing, but when I got here, I realized that what we're doing is you have like 10 people's job in one person. So what she told me was like, your resume, I want you to specialize, choose. There are 3 things I think you'll be strong at. And showed me the 3 things I could focus my resume on. And she helped me work on the resume for a couple of days. By the time I put it out, I got my first job in less than 2 weeks. So it was a journey. It was a very funny journey, right? Again, I'll tell you what happened on my first job. In just listen to hear what happened on my first job on Wall Street in New York City. Trust me, it was. I mean, it's a story that if you don't remember anything, you remember that. All right, so let me pass it on to the next person.
I can't really wait. I can't wait. Thank you so much,
Um,
Mrs. Margaret, for sharing. Thank you. Okay, let's have Mrs. Adeshola. Hello, Mrs. Adeshola.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Desola Inde. When I think about my relocation journey,
Yeah.
I think for me it was something that started about 2000, and it was mine was easy, it was straightforward because it was due to marriage. So that was how I relocated into the UK. And since then, I joined UK, learned the culture, everything Mrs. Dayo Abato said is very critical and very crucial for you to integrate into a different organization, into a different place. Sorry, I've been told it's echoing. Just a minute. Is it better now?
No.
Just a minute. How about it now?
Yes, much
Okay,
better.
sorry, I've got 2 devices. Something is going wrong with the other device. I had to log on my phone.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just quickly repeat myself. My own relocation was as a result of my marriage, and that's how I relocated into the UK. And I've been here since. But as everything Mrs. Baton talked about the integration, understanding the culture, being culturally aware, those were my challenges when I got into this country. And to God be the glory, it has been good. And I thank God for where I am today.
Glory to God. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeshola. And finally, Mr. Oluwole Joseph.
Okay, sorry, Temitope, please, before Oluwole Joseph speaks, I need to give you a hint.
Okay.
Desola don't speak until you pull things out of her mouth, please. As it's loaded, please. Thank you.
All right, well noted for subsequent questions. Okay, Mr. Joseph, can we have you now? I can't
Hey,
see
good
you.
morning, everyone. And I hope you can hear me, right?
Okay, it's morning over there. Good morning, Mr. Joseph.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
so
it's
sorry.
understandable.
All right. So I want to appreciate other speakers, and it's been nice meeting you guys. I'm actually looking forward to today, especially meeting you guys. So my journey was okay. So I started my own journey in 2007. And I got an invitation to UK in 2007 to come and do something at the conference. I play musical instrument. I play the bass guitar very well then, professionally. And then I got an invitation to come and play with a choir in the UK. And then I went to the UK to play. And then the church felt this guy is really good. And then they applied for a work permit.
Wow.
The church applied for a work permit. And then but the work permit was denied. And then I said, okay, I need to go back to Nigeria then. And then the church said, no, you don't have to go back to Nigeria. Just hang around. We'll sort it out. Just give us some time. We'll sort it out. The worst, we'll get you someone to marry, and then, you'll be fine. And then, wow, I said, wow, really?
Wow. Really?
So, and this is such an opportunity that every youth would want to jump at that time.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I look at the pastor, and then I said, I won't do this. I have an uncle there. And then my uncle said, why? I said, I won't do it. And then he said, why? I said, I have a calling to become a global talent, not a local person. I can't come to UK and then won't be able to move around globally. I said, I have a calling that I have to move around the world. And then my uncle looked at me and said, okay, it's fine. You won't believe it. And then immediately I booked my ticket and then I moved back to Nigeria. My parents saw me and they were disappointed. Why would you come back home? And then I said, I'm home. And then, because of courage, I don't know where I got that courage from then. And then I said, I went back to school, prepared my NYSC, and then I went for NYSC. During that period, I was just trusting God for something. And then after that period, I got jobs, building up my brand. And it got to a point I got married. And then I realized that my wife picked interest in relocation. And, she will be working on moving to Canada. And then my own is, do it if you want to do it. I won't stop your dream. Do it if you want to do it. But do I have the desire? Yes. But am I going to force it? No. But I always believe in God's timing. If it is time, it will work out smoothly. She was, and I also believe in supporting a woman's dream. If it is your dream, I will support your dream. So I was supporting that dream. She would say, okay, they need money to do it. I'll say, you have the money. They need proof of fund. You have it. I'll be making that savings for you, So one day my boss traveled to Canada, and then she called me from Canada and said, Joseph, I want you to do something for me. I said, what? I want you to start preparing how to relocate your family to Canada. I said, why? And then she said, when I see people going to work, especially young guys, I remember you. When I see intelligent guys, Nigerians in Canada, I remember you. I think you need to just work it out. And then she got back and she pushed me into writing the test that my wife has been forcing me to write. And then I said, I won't write any test. And then my boss she spoke with me, and then I registered for the test, did the test once. And then and at the end of the story, I just realized one day my wife just woke me up and said, they've granted us something. So I said, I don't understand. And it was one fateful day at around afternoon, I was just at home. And then DHL said, I have a package. And then I opened it, and then I got the family. I saw the PR visa for the whole family. And then I said, and then I went back home to meet my parents. I said, you were not happy that I returned from UK then. This is what you wanted. Then I just showed them my passport and the one for the kids and the family. And my parents were excited, and, so there's so much story. I mean, there's so much lessons from my story. But, maybe with time, we'll come to we come into that, especially for people that want to force things to happen, right? It's always good to be prepared, right? If you don't have, I actually don't have skills beyond being a musician at that time in UK. And the funniest thing, someone called me from the UK and one time I said, thank God you left UK the time you left.
Thank you, Mr.
This is just
Joseph.
a bit of the story.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Such an exciting story. I can only imagine if I get that kind of opportunity. Would I have the audacity to say no? I don't know, but let's proceed. Thank you so much for sharing. So exciting. All right. So the next question on the list. Okay, let me quickly admit this person. So what are the diverse career avenues available for young professionals interested in international opportunities? I'm talking in terms of the different types of visa that is available in UK, in Canada, in USA, and even in Ghana. Yeah. So I don't know who wants to go first. Mrs. Margaret, I can
sorry,
sorry,
Timotokwe, apology. Do you notice the Ghanaian we didn't hear from him?
Yes, I didn't hear from him because I have a special question for him.
Okay, all right, sorry.
I do. So, Mrs. Margaret, I can see your face. I think you
Oh
should
no,
start.
so I'm just smiling. I'm just saying that, I'm not really into like the visa kind of thing, but I know that the world is a global platform right now, which means that whatever you do, and like the keynote speaker said, you position yourself correctly, get into the right associations, get into the right bodies, and have mentorship connection would put your talent in the right platform. Again, you need to have something. What do you want to do? If this just like Mr. Oluwale just said, they put something on the table, but that's not what they really want. They're forcing things. They're trying to just let it be organic, let it just come natural. But the first thing you want to focus on, if you're trying to migrate or if you're trying to move, I guess it's just bridging the gap we're talking about. If you're trying to bridge a gap, what do you have inside of you that you think can help you bridge the gap? If you cannot discover what you have inside of you, anything would go. There's a funny Cinderella story that I always present for every job interview I go for. Is Cinderella said something. I don't know if you've watched the movie, you can go back and listen to it. She said, if you have nowhere to go, anywhere is a way. So when I heard that quote and it stuck in my head, this I'm talking about years now. If you have nowhere to go, whatever they put on your hands it's a way and you jump at it. Again, just because you're not thinking, you jump at things that at the end of the day you cannot maneuver. I'll give a similar experience whilst we're younger. Toba would know this. Whilst we're younger, I had an opportunity. A friend came and said, "Oh, let's do XYZ. That can help you land in the United States. You have everything you need." And I remember telling him, "Them, don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. When I have to go, I'll go. When I need to be there, I'll be there. And all I need to do is work on my own space. And when the opportunity hits my decks, I would identify it and run after it. With a deco, we're exposed to a lot of things. A lot of. I was directly working with the consulate, which is the United Italy, US, and all that at that point. So I was exposed to all of those things. So why am I jumping? Why don't I sit down and strategize and know what I want, so that when I get what I want, I identify and I run with it. So again, there are a lot of opportunities. People are using now. A lot of people are doing education. I'm trying to migrate through education. It's a good thing. Yes, you want to come over to travel overseas to get good education. Use the opportunity to jackpot. Yes, it is good. But once you jackpot, what next? Once you get the visa and you move on there and the visa expires, I know a lot of people that are running around the street trying to renew their people have gone to they've taken up to like 3-4 courses right now. They finished their masters, they started first degree, second degree, just to stay on that visa, just to still stay. Why do you want to put yourself under so much stress, paying so much out of pocket to go to school just because you want to stay in the system? But if you sat down, thought about it, be more strategic about your approach, you'll be able to get something that is sustainable over time. So to me, even though there are a lot of opportunities out there for you to migrate, the first thing I would always advise anyone is, what do you want? You're trying to go to the United States, you're trying to go to UK, you're trying to go to Canada, you're trying to go to Ghana, you're trying to go to, I mean, I didn't even know people were going to the war country, was that Ukraine, until when it's the war. And I'm like, come on, people go there, and you want to go to, what do you want to go do there? So when you go there, what do you do? After the education, what do you do? How do you fit into the system? What's your plan? So the first thing you want to do is to sit down to have a plan. And again, the God factor is key for me, because I'm a Christian. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, for those who are not on this platform, yes. So the God factor is key. What is God saying? Is God leading you? Is He saying to make that move? Because the Bible makes us to understand. I'm sorry, going very churchy. If you commit your ways into God, it will succeed. So if you're not committing it into God's hand, or you're not talking to God, then you're just going embarking on a journey that is just you and your human knowledge. When your brain fails you, what happens? So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Mrs. Taiwo, are you still here with us? Because I can't see you.
Hi, yes, I am.
Okay. Did you get the question? I want you to help us with your own perspective.
Please ask again, please.
Okay, so I was asking that what are the diverse careers avenue available for young professionals that are interested in international opportunities in terms of the different types of visa that is available?
Okay, so you could decide you want to go the education route.
Okay.
Which the last speaker has said, yes, it's one of the easiest ways to go. But at the end of the day, it's tenured. And so what happens after that? For some, for those that want to relocate to the UK, you want to do the HSMP, a highly skilled migrant program visa. You may also want to go through the route of an employer giving you a sponsorship visa. So there are several options depending on the country you want to go for too. But what is most important is for you to really say, what am I trying to achieve? Yes, the opportunities are there, education for the children and stuff like that. So the kind of visa you're going for is a function of what you are trying to make out of it. Some people want to go 2-3 years and come back. Some really want to go finally and settle in. Some want to go because of education. So yeah, plot your course, and then there are various options across Europe, across Canada, US, and then the UK. So there are options. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. Does anybody want to add to that? Canada, UK, USA. Okay, Mrs. Margaret has spoken. Mrs. Adesola.
Hello, just wanted to add to the points that's been shared. I think the key thing is, just like everyone has said, it's about you understanding what is the reason, what is the why? Why am I doing this? And you need to do your homework. So it's a matter of you understanding which country do I want to go to. Thank God the internet is there. Everything is available, is at your fingertips. You don't really need somebody to be telling you. You need to do your own research. And through your research, it's going to help you to fine-tune what your approach is, what you're thinking, what you're trying to achieve. Because a lot of the time, when you think somebody is going to be the one doing it for you, then you've already started wrongly. You need to do the work yourself. You need to have a clarity. It's like having a vision. You're writing it down. What is the driver here? Your driver will make you to decide which country do I want to go to? What do I need to do? And that's what will link to so many things that's been discussed today, the education, the career path, and there's a lot of things, but it starts with you doing your research and knowing what you really want to do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph, Mr. Toby. Any addition from your end?
Well, I'll just say that like everyone, well, the other speakers have talked about the visa types available. So there's permanent residency, there's education routes. But I've also heard people wanting to use a visitor's visa to relocate to Canada.
Mr. Toby, you might want to project your voice. It's kind
Can you
of
hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes, but I believe you can you can up it.
I just need to know, is it better now? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
better now.
better now.
Okay, it's better. Sorry, I have different sources. So I was saying that some people, apart from the education routes, apart from the PR routes, which are legitimate routes for relocating and having some form of permanent residency or temporary residency, the work permit route is also another route. I'll probably touch on that very quickly. But I've heard people talk about the visitors route. So the Canadian government has said that if you're a visitor, if you're on a visitor visa here in Canada, and you happen to get a sponsorship, then you don't need to return to your country of origin. They can convert that into a temporary work permit. And then that can be the route. But the notion that people have is just get your visitor's visa, come here, hustle, you go to the border, they will convert it for you. It's not that simple. And when people take that route, they end up, I think Margaret was talking about people on the streets, right? They end up putting themselves in a situation where they have to do a job, no matter what certificate they have, because they are not legitimately in the country. You heard Joseph talk about Mr. Oluwole Joseph, sorry, I don't know. Your first name is Oluwole, right? Yeah. So you heard him talk about the opportunity that was thrown at him when it was first time. There are lots of people that will go to another country, and just because we go abroad, just because they feel like, I don't want to go back to Nigeria, they put themselves in a state where they are illegal immigrants. Now, as an illegal immigrant, you don't have access to health benefits. You don't have access to even applying for a job. It will take a while before they regulate their papers. Some will claim asylum, all of those things. I personally tell people, don't go that route. It's a very painful route, especially when you have the qualification to come the right way. Now, for the work permit, people that are in the tech industry, so I do have people that I personally know who have gotten jobs right from Nigeria. So I work with a global consulting firm, and I have a couple colleagues who they didn't even have to come here on a PR. They got their work permit from Nigeria because of the type of skill set that they have. So it was the company that hired them, sponsored them, and brought them here and paid them vacation fees to come here. So that's an option as well. If you like everyone has talked about doing your homework, doing your research. If you know what is required and you go and learn that skill set, you put yourself in a place where you might even not need to go the route of PR or go the route of education. And you might be able to come. Education is good, but like our keynote speaker said, be sure that, I think it was Margaret that was saying that, be sure that when you do education, you have a plan of what you want to do. People will go around in circles and finish this degree, they're trying to get into another degree just because they want to keep their status. So yeah, have the right people, the people that you meet. I'll never ever be able to emphasize that too much. The people that you meet when you come in, the people you surround yourself with, they will tell you whether some best was saying that. So the notion is that when you come abroad, Canada, UK, you have to start from scratch. You have to go and do some odd jobs and stuff like that. It is not always the case. There are better ways around that. So I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. I think with that, we are fine with that.
Let me
Mr. Joseph, do you want to contribute?
Yes, let me just say a few things around that. And so, like I think Margaret said, or this or that, the first thing you need to do is to know your why. After relocating, and then I changed my status on LinkedIn, and then I see a few, friends reaching out to me to say that, okay, I want to relocate. What do I need to do? And then the first thing I ask is why? And then some will never come back to me because they don't know their why. In fact, I did mine in such a way that before relocating, I wrote my why out on the paper and then stick it in a room where everybody can see it. And then we got into abroad and I still put it in a room because sometimes you want to ask God, why have I been in this situation? And then you look at your why and then you feel relaxed. And then, no, I'm not here alone. God is in the plan, right? So, and then Margaret also mentioned that God, you should get God involved, right? Get God involved. It's God directing you in that direction. And I will say this, please don't be desperate about relocating abroad. If you're desperate about it, you will not be strategic about it. Don't be desperate about relocating abroad. And then finally, I would say that don't relocate abroad because you want to make money. Relocate abroad because you want to make impacts.
Word. Okay.
Because you get into a point where if you're not getting the money on time, you want to feel discouraged. And a lot of people that got into Canada at the same time, couples that the husband left wife and the family in Canada went back to Nigeria because they felt that the money is not coming in on time. That's why I said, don't relocate because you want to make money. Relocate because you want to make impact. Right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. One thing that stood out for me from that short talk was that if you are desperate about it, you will never be strategic about it. So take out desperation and focus. Right. So let's meet our Ghanaian. Hello, Mr. Benjamin. Can you hear me? I want to see your face. Hello, Mr. Benjamin. I don't know if he's here yet. I can't see him.
I saw him, but I think network knocked him out. I'm trying to reach out to him immediately. Thank you.
Okay, so we can proceed.
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay. So the next thing we have on our question list is we want you to share your first job experience as a, what do I call it now? As a foreigner, or as Mrs. Margaret is already laughing. She's ready to spill all the teas. We are so ready for you too. We are ready. We are ready for you. So let's start with you because I can feel the
Let me
energy from
go.
my room.
So again, HR, I understand what the rules are, and to me, it's more about learning than legal, right? So, like I said, my first interview that I spent 2 hours, and the recruiter went on and on. She asked me about compensation analysis because with Adecco, I did a lot of compensation analysis for most companies. I used to do, it was part of our selling point, do compensation so that when we're going into the company, would tell me this is what your peers are paying this person. Part of added specs to help them keep their new hires. So she talked about compensation analysis. I went to that. She talked about business analysis. I went on that. She talked about gap analysis. I did that. Recruiting was like just regular. So after going in depth on all of these things for 2 hours, she just sat back and said, I don't have a job for you. I mean, I thought probably it's grammar. I can't understand. I just came from Nigeria, right? So probably it's the grammar. I didn't understand what she was saying. And she said, I don't have a job for you. And I'm like, okay. And I looked at the time. We've been here 2 hours. She's like, the funny thing, when I put out a job posting, and I go to every platform, the first resume that pops up is Margaret. And I'm wondering, like, this resume is Nigerian based. So how come she knows all of these things she has on her resume? That out of curiosity, she wanted to speak with me. And she went as far as asking me, did you learn how to speak English when you came into the United States? And I'm like, okay, this is I'm really in for it. I'm like, Nigeria, we speak English, even British English. Anyway, to cut the long story short, she guided me in making my resume one specialty focused, so that I don't have too many. That when any recruiter sees this resume, they're thrown away. And she now said, okay, now the interview is over. I want to learn from you. She started asking me some questions. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And she's like, okay, for the favor you've done to me, I want to do you another favor. Help me repackage my resume and put it out. I put it out, then 2 weeks later, I got a job. And I was working with the HR director. Wall Street in New York City. And you know, Wall Street in New York City is like the heart of everything. And I go in there, the woman I'm working with is like the same age with my mom. And when I see her, I'm like, good morning, ma. The first day the woman looked at me like, really? The second day I saw that, I said, good morning, ma. She's like, oh, no, 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 no. My name is so and so. Do you mind calling me my name? I'm like, yes, ma. The lady went ballistic. Next thing she called HR. She's like, you know what? If we're gonna be sharing the same office, if we're gonna be working together, I'm uncomfortable working with her. And they're like, why? She's like, she's so scared of me. She can't call me by my name. And I asked her my name, she couldn't speak. HR now called me. And she was like, okay, tell her to call my name. Ha. And I said, my career has ended today. I couldn't speak. Like, what's my name? I said, ma. She said, what's my name? And I'm like, please, ma. Anyway, so that was my culture shock, right? And after that, she's like, you know what? We can work together. She's going to be working closely with me. And the way she's making me feel, she makes me feel like I'm so old and now making the environment hostile for me. And I'm like, really? So that was how I had my first job and I lost my first job. Then when I went back home, I sat down. Everybody started laughing, like, Nigerian girl, you brought your Nigerian skills here. I was laughing. I'm like, so to me, that's why I said it's more than legal, it's more of learning for me. So that's culture shock, right? We're used to the respect when somebody's older, you try to give, you can't call them by their name, you try to do me, please, ma, please, sir. And that threw me off. So that was my first job experience. Anybody I tell just laugh at me. So that's the way I got my first job, and that's the way I lost my first job, just because I was making my supervisor, who is the age of my mom, uncomfortable by saying ma to her when I just needed to just call her by her name and work like and the right professional environment. So that's my first job experience. It's always very fun to share that experience.
Thank you for sharing.
Again, so what I want you to learn from that is, which is why I say that bridging the gap, even if you're, I came from a place where I was dealing with people at the topmost level, decision makers, and in Nigeria, so I felt like I was good, but still that culture thing still in my at the back of my mind, I still had it play a role in me. And after that, I learned a lesson, yes. So again, when you're relocating or you're moving into a new setting, you need to understand how that setting works. Sometimes you need to unlearn to relearn. What I knew before, what I thought was good, that from where I was coming from, like, oh, respect is good. You have to show respect. This side of the world, I feel like, oh, once you do that, you're making them feel so old, and nobody wants to be old in this place. You see people of 70, 80 trying to do things that young people do. So there's a need for you to unlearn and relearn wherever you're trying to fit into. So that's my own wonderful experience. But after that, I can promise you it's been a very wonderful journey.
Thank you so much for sharing. The lesson from that is that be culturally aware. Know where you are headed. Go and be saying, ma. So you don't have Mrs. Margaret.
Say
You
my
don't have
mama and
Mrs.
get fired
Margaret
like me.
experience. Exactly. Okay, Mr. Toby, you want to share your first? Okay, Mrs. Taiwo is raising her hand. I think she wants to go next.
Hello again. Let me
Yes,
just
ma'am.
quickly share mine, and I'll share four. I think the
Okay.
first one that came to me as a culture shock was, we all need to learn this, is around the timing. So
Okay.
we're used to good morning, good afternoon. It becomes hello, because you don't know where your audience is or where you're connecting from with them from across the globe. So the lingua should change to hello. The other one is, we are used to saying good morning, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We should understand around the different sexual orientation that we have. So it becomes everyone. So in the workplaces, their colleagues is not longer hello, ladies and gentlemen, because others will say you've left them out in your conversation. Yes. And I think the third one, like the last speaker said, would be the hello, sir, hello, ma'am. No, it's on first name basis. So then the fourth one, which is peculiar to us as Nigerians, we come across to others as being a bit aggressive in the way we speak as Nigerians. So I had to learn to bite my words and then speak a bit more slowly so I can connect with my audience. So these are the four things I think I have learned over time.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. Thank you so much. I hope you are learning and I hope you are writing these things down. Okay. All right, Mr. Toby, let's have you share your first job experience.
Okay, so my first job experience. So as I mentioned, I was in oil and gas before I left Nigeria. And I remember some of my colleagues actually told me I was stupid to resign the job, because most of my colleagues that were doing the Canada thing, so they had their families here, but I didn't want that separation. So there was a lot of, let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what is going to get. So my first job was a contract role with one of Canada's biggest oil and gas companies as a learning advisor. The other thing that people talk about is you need to step down. So I was a team lead. I was in like a team lead role in Total in Nigeria before I moved here. But I never believed that my experience in Nigeria is inferior to the experience that they're looking for here, because I always believed that there was no need to step down. Like I've worked in a global organization. I've interacted with people from all over the world. It is nothing different. I mean, so anyway, long story short, I got this job. One of the things that I noticed, as well as Madam Taiwo just mentioned, is we think that as Nigerians, we speak slowly, but we actually speak very fast. And speaking fast in the sense that we don't pronounce our consonants. So there's always that swallowing of certain letters in the word, and it makes it difficult for people to understand you. Most of the meetings I was in, I was the only Black person. I was the only one with an accent. There will be some meetings, there might be another Black person, but this person is probably a Black Canadian that doesn't have an accent. So all of those things started to give me a little bit of imposter syndrome, which starts to make you second guess yourself. But one thing that I kept in mind is I have skill set. Now, this is something I'm going to say that if you need to jot anything down, jot it down. Be aware of your profession and what is the next big thing. So I won't get too technical, but when I was in Nigeria and I was planning to relocate, I was already asking myself, what's the next big thing in HR? And I realized that HR analytics was one of the things that was becoming famous. And I, by myself, learned how to use an analytics tool, Power BI. So I went on Udemy, I took the course. As I was working, I was taking the course. I also understood that in my current job, I had an opportunity to use that skill set. So nobody was asking me to do analytics, but my position gave me access to employee data. So I was taking the initiative to start to use the skill I'd learned and started to use that on a project, at work. I started doing analytics for Total, our HR analytics. And that gave me like not just local spotlight, but global spotlight, because they tied it into some of our main methodology projects. That's some money saving schemes and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, I got the credit for learning that in Total. But when I got to Canada, because I had that skill set, it was very, very easy for me to bring that on the project that I was working on. You hear people say that, oh, they don't like you because you're Black. You hear people say that, oh, they are discriminating, or you have an accent. You have all of those things. Might be true for many people, but it was not true for me because I had a skill set that wowed everybody. So when I got on my project, what they were using Excel for, I brought Power BI into it. And maybe just to give a twist to that story, I currently work with, as I said, with EY as a manager for people advisory services. The reason I got my current job is because of my first job. So maybe just to, finish the story first for the first job. So my first job, I was only in it for 4 months because COVID happened and my contract was canceled. So it took another 5 months before I got my second job, where I worked with one of Canada's biggest railway companies. But what I was trying to say is, on my first job, when I was leaving, my manager was so sad to even break the news. He told me he could not sleep the night before because of the impact I brought on the job. So I remember somebody has said, Oluwole said, don't think about coming to Canada to make money. Think about coming to Canada to make an impact. Now, my current job, the reason why they reached out to me was because of my experience in my first job. Consulting firms is where everybody wants to work, like especially the big four. In my case, I didn't have to apply. And a lot of I mentioned the God factor here. That is important. If you truly believe in God, bring God into your career and you're going to see miracles, like miracles, literal miracles. Anyway, so for me, my first job was just, and when I lost the job, I was sad. I was distraught. People were asking me, what next? And what I did at that time was I just focused on helping others. So I was mentoring more than 50 people across Canada and Nigeria, majorly in HR and also in HR analytics. But my current job is because of that first job that I got. And guess what? That same skill set that I brought into that job using Power BI, I'm currently using it on my project, and everyone is dependent on my solution. So the way to make yourself stand out, I would not deny it if you already have a lot of advantages. All those things are ways to work on your accent. Sorry, sometimes it's Nigerian and sometimes it's asking me this make fun. It's not the fact to understand what I'm saying. So I'm making an effort to be able to speak in a way that they understand it. And I'm getting used to that. Right. So I don't think that you should go abroad. I studied in the UK. When I was in the UK, my accent speaking to British people was getting a bit British. I lived in Ghana. When I was in Ghana, sorry, the Ghanaian person is not here. By the way, how to pronounce that name is Ingira. So I know you couldn't pronounce this name, but when I was in Ghana, well, my accent talked about cultural integration, cultural awareness. All of those things are important when you go to a new place to be successful. People will naturally gravitate towards people that look like them, that speak like them, that understand them. One thing I'll just quickly add as well. In Canada, you will be surprised that a recruiter might not call you, even though you are qualified for a job, because and because they don't want to offend you, they'd rather not call you because they find it hard to pronounce your name.
So if you have a name that is hard to pronounce, I always tell people find a way to shorten it so that someone will not use that as a basis for not calling you for a job you're qualified for. All right, I'll just stop at that because I could go all day.
Wow. Really? Okay, that's noted. Thank you. My name is Temi, thank God, so I don't have a problem. Just two syllables. Okay, Mr. Joseph.
All right. Thank you for that feedback, Toby and Margaret. And I'm very sure that we've all learned so much from their experiences. So when I got into Canada, I realized that, so I like to speak very fast. I'm someone that when I'm talking, I like to talk fast. And it's basically because I usually tell people that maybe because I'm having mental constipation, you know, so when you have so much information to share, you always feel, let me say it in, so, and then I realized that you need to calm down in this environment, right? And then I was trying to do a self-assessment for myself, and then I realized that I've been into, this environment where I need to look around, what do I have? What can I offer to be able to stand out? So considering my accent, if I have to be the only Black, within a particular setting, what can I do that will make me stand out? And by the way, let me say this. I saw a comment during the time Taiwa Baton was talking, and then someone put it on comments that being a Black is an advantage. It is not an advantage. Being Black is not an advantage until you have a unique value to offer. You can be Black forever and have nothing if you don't have anything to offer. So your color is not an advantage or disadvantage. What people are really looking out for is the value you can offer. Like Toby said, he came in and have a unique value to give, right? So I was thinking about what can I offer? Why should people want to relate with me? Why should someone call me for a job? And then I realized I was in a meeting with a particular institution in Ottawa, and we're discussing, and then they shared their websites, and everybody was discussing around their websites. The website looks so beautiful, but the website is not speaking about value, what they offer. There's nothing like unique value proposition on their websites. And I'm someone that I don't like to talk, I like to do. I'm a doer. And then in 2 days, I was able to put up a website content for this institution on how they can, project their value to the people and be able to attract. And the moment I put up my value proposition and then the new content to them, and the CEO called and said, we need to have a meeting with you. And then we scheduled a meeting. And then I did a presentation on their new website, the Outlook. And then the CEO said, how much would you like to? We want to offer you something for, for what you have put together. We need to engage you going forward. And that was my first pay in Canada, right? So that taught me that, value is something that people cannot reject, irrespective of your color. It will be difficult for them to reject it. If you're able to solve a problem, if you're somewhere and you're solving a problem, nobody wants to reject you. Right? So that was how I got into my first pay. And so I'm always strong.
Oh, Mr. Joseph, your mic is muted.
You mean just now?
Yes. So we lost you for
Okay.
a couple of seconds.
Oh, that's fine then. So I have to stop it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. So what I got from that speech or that talk is you have to add value. Value is very, very important. I think Mrs. Desola is the next on the line. Mrs. Desola, can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
First job experience in the
I think my own experience is totally different from everybody because mine was very early in my career when I came into the UK. And I think my own experience tends to, it's leaned towards more of the cultural awareness, understanding the culture of where I found myself. I came from Nigeria. I worked in the UBA when I was in Nigeria. So just like Margaret said, you respect everybody, you show all the things, and you're not allowed to just look up. And we know our culture. When an adult is talking, you don't look straight into their eyes. You need to bow. Your head should be lower. So coming into this country, I'm someone that doesn't like to sit at home. So that was my first issue. And I found that in this country, some people like to sit at home. I can't do that. And it's very important the people you surround yourself with. Very important, especially when you relocate into a country you're not familiar with. So some of the people I met, being a graduate, worked, and I came in here, the offers you hear is, oh, you're Black. You can do a cleaning job. You can do this. You can do that. I said, oh, interesting. I said, but I'm a graduate. So it doesn't count here. It doesn't matter. And that puzzled me. Why will it not matter? Why will I stand and just accept it? So I decided to defy all that. And I spoke with somebody else. I said, I've got a certificate. I went to a good school. How do I go about that? And this person pointed me in the direction of having to send my certificate for verification so that they can verify it and confirm that it's authentic and my degree is authentic, my grade is authentic. I said, yes, I'll do that. So I sent it forth. But in the meantime, while I was waiting for that to come, I said, I need to understand how things work here. And so my first job was a cleaning job in the hospital. And I took it with pride. And it was my first, today, I always say it, if I didn't do that job and I landed into a proper corporate job, I might have struggled. But starting from then, it's about your values. What do you hold in high esteem? How do you see people? How do people see you? And doing things well, regardless of whatever you're doing. Said in all things, put in your best so that your best comes out of it. So I joined the agency for the cleaning contract. My first day with them, even speaking with them, the person looked at me. They were shocked. I was like, why are they looking at me? So you speak good English. I'm like, okay, what do you expect people, because I'm Black, does it mean I won't understand what you're saying? And so I got the job started. I didn't realize I was a threat to the manager because I told the manager myself that I'm going to give us, you have the shift pattern. I said, I don't do shift. I only do morning work. Monday to Friday, I know that's my shift. Don't give me hours that is late in the night. I said, well, I'm only here to learn something. But what did I pick up in those periods? And my manager was a Black person. And we had some Black people around me. But working in the hospital, you see a lot of all these white people. And one of my cultural shock was one summer, darling, I'm wondering, who is this person calling? Not me. And then I found out that is the way they relate. When they like you, when they want to understand you, hear them saying, darling. I'm like, oh, in my country, you don't say that. You are not my wife. You're not my husband. Why should I call you that? That was my first learning curve. Then the second one is how to speak. How do you address those people? Yes, very critical and crucial. You call them and address them by first name, which I wasn't used to. So I was looking for a way to show a sign of respect and regard. But they didn't like it. They felt exactly what Margaret said. They felt too old. They don't want to be seen like that. So I learned that you have to stand up and you have to be able to address them the way they want to be addressed. And during that period, one of the patients said to me, oh, you are too good for the job you're doing. I'll speak with my son, who is a manager in Marks and Spencer's, so that he can tell you if there's recruitment going on. And I said to her, it depends on the job in Marks and Spencer. I don't want to be a shop floor person. I don't want to do it. I can't do a shift job. The woman looked at me. I felt, I thought you were doing a cleaning job. That job should be better than what you're doing. I said, yes. My weekends, my Sundays, I need to go to church. I don't want to be working those days. Then I told my manager, so whilst I'm doing all this, I'm making my research. I understand the culture, the UK, there's job centers, there are places you can go to seek advice, to learn how things work. So I was doing all that. Then I realized I needed more time for my job search, because by then my verification had come back that I am qualified to do any work. So I started going to the job center. I told the man I'm going to be going into the job center, so I'm not going to be coming into the office Monday to Friday. So I chose my time to work. This is where you have to be confident in yourself, regardless of who you're talking to. Believe in yourself, know your skill set, know who you are so that you can stand. Because when I was saying it to him was like, you're going to lose yourself. I said, I don't care, because the job I need is going to be better than this one. This is just for me not to stay at home, because I don't want to be brain dead. Because during that period, I was learning, I was doing a lot of things, making sure that I stay relevant in the economy that I am now in, and learning to make conversation and have conversations with people, because perception is very key. There's a lot of unsaid. Here, body language is key for them. They don't listen to what you're saying. They're looking at you. They're reading you. So what you're saying to them is totally different from what they can see. And that is where perception is very key here. So I started learning all that. And by the time I think I was in the job for about 3 months, thereabouts. And one day, and even there was a lot of advice for me from the people who's been there. Oh, if you leave this clinic, you can do the healthcare one, you can do this. I said, I don't want to do any of that. So the day I now went in to say, I got my job, and I'm leaving, my manager was shocked. How could you get a job? And I said, I'm leaving because I got a job. And when I started my real job, I would call my real job then, and that was back in 2011. No, it wasn't 2011, actually. When was I've forgotten when we had this America thing. Oh God, the 9/11. I've forgotten which year it was now. Was it 9/11? Because I remember that was the day I went for the interview. So when I got the job, and I told them that I am leaving, and I started my real job. I've been spent a few times. Sorry, I'm taking time, but I just want to bring out the cultural bit into it. I'm one person that, let's get the job done. Get in the office, log on, start your work. But I have a colleague who comes to me in the morning and asks everybody, do you need a cup of tea? Can we go around and can we go and have a cup of tea? And I look at her, that's a waste of time. Just sit down and do your work. I didn't realize that was upsetting her. It was a problem. I couldn't see it because I didn't come from that kind of background. But that's one of the things that she really cherishes a lot, which is they see it as a way of you being a good team player and you coming together and having that collaboration early in the morning. So I had to learn that is how it works. And when we are talking about building networks, you can build network in various ways at various times as you're going, but you need to be sensitive to some silent behaviors. It's about some silent things that are coming your way. Don't close your eyes or ignore it. There's been one day, one of them asked me, that day was my shock again, said, can I ask you a question? I said, yes, go ahead. Said, you know when you want to speak, do you have to first say it in your language and then interpret it? It took me back and I'm like, interesting. And I responded, I said, but that was good because only God knows how long she's been thinking about that. And I responded, I said, let me play it back to you. If you ask me a question now, if I have to translate it or try to interpret it in my language and then translate it back to English, do you know how many minutes it's going to take me to respond to your question? So that doesn't work. Where I come from, we study English. We learned in English. We're taught in English. So we speak just like you are. And it's sometimes you reaffirming some things to them. Some people don't know. Some people are ignorant. So I don't get upset. I believe it's because you're limited in your knowledge. So it's better you ask questions. Then just to touch on how everybody said we talk so fast, I do. And I learned that I have to slow down. And sometimes I know I can forget myself. So I say it at the beginning. I say, please, if I'm speaking too fast, just call my attention to it. And I'll try and slow down or repeat myself. Even the Scottish people will tell you, this is how you speak. But if you can't hear us or you don't understand, please stop us and we'll say it. So it's a natural thing. And lastly, what Toby said about the name. I was told that when I came into this country, that username that they can easily pronounce. But I beg to differ now, because it's a sign of disregard and disrespect in this country now. It's about equality and inclusion. You need to make an effort to speak or to learn the person's name. If you can't pronounce it, it's against the cultural belief now, where we talk about inclusiveness. So I don't I don't tell people change your name. The only thing you need to do is when they say it, try to help them. They need to make an effort. Sometimes people find it difficult, and I feel you need to try. If we can make an effort to please you, why can't you try to do the same? A lot of the time, they expect us to step down or lower our own boundaries. Don't lower your boundaries. Stand up tall. When you have the real value in you, if you've got something valuable they're looking for that you can add to an organization, they will be the one clamoring to have you. But it's only when you are empty, that's when your name or any other thing becomes an issue for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Adesola, for sharing. So just before we go into our next question, I'd like to tell my audience that I can see you, I can see your questions. Keep them coming. We will take as many as we can. All right, so on to the next question. With respect to professional certifications, so say, for example, over here, say Nigeria, you are already a qualified chartered accountant. So we want to know, are professional certifications relevant over there? Is it relevant, or you shouldn't bother about it? And if not, how can you effectively navigate the process in obtaining a professional occupational license over there? I don't know if you got my question. 2-in-1 question. So who is going first?
I can
go first.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Mine is quick. I think I said it as part of how I started here. Your professional, once you know it's professional, it's a body. So obviously, it's going to be applicable. However, you also need to check the country you're going, what is acceptable. So if you're a chartered accountant, yes, you just need to be able to come in and see, do I need to do anything else to support myself here? There's some courses, there's some expectation about some exams that you need to do just to verify. It's about registering with the correct body for that country. So it's not a waste. It's actually a level up. It's a very good thing to have because they know you're a professional. And I think Margaret said that. So it doesn't decrease from you, it adds to your value.
Okay. Mrs. Margaret.
Yes,
Thank
I'll
you.
go. So when I relocated to the US, I mean, I hadn't done my master's then. So my first step was to go to school for my master's. And I see in the chat someone said something about the British and the American accent. So that was an issue for me too. When I got into school and I started writing, the professor was like, my first class was use of language, and was like, oh, why are you writing like this? I'm like, okay, it's British. But he said, we're in America. And I'm like, okay, that don't mean that. So there was one word he used, that one word that I still, till date, is still in my head. Learned and learned. I learned how to speak English. I learned how to speak English. So it's the difference is the British and American. So when you use the British of I learned how to speak English, it's wrong. It's supposed to be learned. And I'm like, okay. And so that was what he used as like, Margaret, you can't use learned, you use learned. And I'm like, okay. So that was for me. I had to take my time, did extra, like Toby said, took some 1 or 2 classes on how to switch the major difference between British English and American English. One is past participle, one is always in the present. Even if it's 10 years ago, you still have to keep it present. So that was one big for me, and to switch that. Now going into certifications. So after my MBA, and I'd already started working then. Again, I said I didn't move field. Then I moved into reporting analyst, and I was still in that field. So taking certifications is good. But I know from back on then, people just get certified just because it was trending. That's what everybody wanted to do. But if you have the certifications and you can't defend it, it's as good as you not having it. Uh, so if you say you have Institute of Chartered Accountants and you have it in your books, yes, it can get you into the door. I remember then back then as a recruiter, we tell our candidates something. We can help you get to the front of the recruiter, but you have to prove yourself. We can help you get on the job. You get on the job, but you need to prove yourself that you can do what you're hired to do. So getting certifications, especially because the world is now a global platform, whereby every certification you get is still valid everywhere. So certifications are good, but more than certification is being able to define what you're certified to do. Um, so for me, that's for me, right? It's me. I tell myself, I say, why do I want to have 12 certifications when I've not used one successfully? I've not created any impact with one, and I'm looking for 10. Why do I have to prove to people that I can do this stuff when I technically I've not even been successful in one? So that's my own theory. Um, but again, going back to say certification is good. Once you're doing the right certifications, I want you to be more intentional, more than just getting the certification. Try to make sure you can defend what you know. Like I told my story of the HR that brought me to our desk to talk about what they see on my resume. Um, I was able to prove to her that everything on that resume, I know it. I just don't have it there. It's something I know, and I can tell you wake me up from the sleep, I can tell you everything. So more than just getting these certifications, which is good, I don't, it's an added advantage. In this country, you see few people that have masters, that have PhD, except the statistics show that Africans, especially Nigerians, are more educated than the local people, just because we strive to. Again, someone said something like the color of your skin is not a limitation. I mean, yes, you would say it's not a limitation, but it is what it is. So again, from my resume, the lady saw everything on my resume, but what she was focused on is not what I can do, is where I'm coming from. So if she didn't call me, and she would have put my resume aside, even though I was qualified for any job she was looking for. But because of my pedigree, she like, "Hmm." So even if they don't tell you that the color of your skin is a limitation, or like Toby rightly said, the spelling of your name is a limitation, you can prove anything you want to prove as long as they're not calling you, right? Is when they call you and tell you that, oh, your name is a limitation, then you can sue them. But if they don't call you, you wouldn't know. But looking at it from behind the scene, yes, all those things are factors. They're like, what kind of name is this? That means she can't speak English. That means we'll be struggling. That means she'll have an accent. When they look at the team they're trying to place you in, they're like, okay, if she comes in there, or if he comes in there, how is he going to fit into this environment? He might not be able to fit in. He might be behaving like a monkey. And they won't tell you, right? Because they've not had the opportunity to tell you, but that's what they are saying. As long as you don't hear it in their mouth or in an email, you can sue them for that. But yes, put it at the back of your mind that the way my resume is being presented, just remember my story. If the lady didn't call me to tell me that your pedigree don't look like what you know, I wouldn't know that that's a factor. So I can say from experience, yes, it's a factor. So good, you can take your certifications, but more than just the certifications, if you find yourself in an opportunity like me that I had to come prove what I know, you should be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that addition. Do we have any other person that wants to add to it so we can take the audience question and round up? Do you want to
Okay,
I can just say.
All right, let me allow you, please.
No, I just want to. So, just a couple of things. Number one, not every job requires a certification. Number two, know the certification that is applicable in that country, because of course, I mean, I'm seeing questions about CPA. There are questions I might not be able to answer for Canada, but you can find it online. Like, trust me, if you go on the internet, you will find all those answers. Therefore, I can speak for HR. So Canada for HR, it's quite complicated. And I tell people, if you're not necessarily in that HR generalist role, no one really will care about that certification. If you're in payroll, there's certification for payroll. But if you have your SHRM and all the certifications you can get in the US, or you have your CIPD, which is UK, if you come here to Canada, some of them are not recognized. They are starting to recognize some of them, and you can get points towards you getting your certification. And then another complexity in Canada is all the different provinces have their different HR bodies. Most of them are called CPHR, but in Ontario, it's entirely different. So there's a lot, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot to learn. If you're in project management, it's PMP. In UK, it's Prince 2, but no one will tell you, come with Prince 2 to North America. North America is PMP that's recognized. So you can get most of the certifications, you can actually get them done before you relocate, because they are mostly done online. You don't need to go to a test center to complete it. And the ones that probably you could even require a test center for, you could do it in Nigeria. So like Margaret said, understand why you're trying to get that certification. Immigrants generally, because of the disadvantage we have, we always want to get all the education and the certification just to try to be ahead of, the normal person or the local person. But there's another thing I'll just quickly say is, one thing I've noticed here in Canada is they expect you to be specialized. So if you have PMP, you have CBAP, you have Agile, you have all of those things. The notion that they have is, okay, you are jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none.
So they won't even call you, because the question is, what exactly are you known for? What do you do? So even when you have multiple certifications, I would say that tailor your resume to the job you're applying for, and whichever certification applies to that, then put your certification in there. You can ignore the others that don't really apply. I'll just stop there. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So before you go, somebody said SPHRI. I think that's HR certification. So I don't know if you want to speak to that.
So SPHR, I cannot say for sure, and that's why I said it's good to check online. And the provinces will differ. So check the province you're going for, research and know which one they will at least accept. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Joseph.
So I think SPHR can give you points depending on what province you are in Canada. If you are in Ontario, you may use it as, you can use it as a leverage, right? But the truth is, you still have to convert. You still have to convert.
Convert to what?
But convert to, what certification you have in your own province. Maybe CHRL, it can only give you a point to be qualified to write a particular exam that, you know, for you to be able to get provisional HR certificates, right? So yeah, but the truth is, I like to do a lot of research, and I've done a lot around Canada when it comes to job search, career progression, and the rest. And then I've come to realize just one thing, mindsets.
Okay.
Mindsets. The truth is, I've done research and then I've realized that I've seen people that does not have HR certifications and they have good jobs. Yeah. And then I've come around people that will tell me that, no, Joseph, if you don't have this, you will not be hired. I've seen a lot of people that will say, this is the way to write a resume. And then I've seen this scattered resume, a resume that doesn't look presentable, and they are calling them for good jobs. And that's the reason why I said mindset will play a critical role here. So you need to address and adjust your mindsets.
Yeah.
Address and adjust your mindset. If you don't believe it will work, it will not work. You know, until I come to realize that I can get the job I desire in Canada. I think I've been called for about 3 HR directors role interview. And some would tell you when I was coming in that it is not possible. If it is not possible for them, that doesn't mean it's not possible for you. You only get what you believe. So protect your mind. You know, protect your mind. So another thing is, I think it was Margaret that mentioned, why do you need that certificate? Why? So I would say that the most important thing after your mindset is build a brand. Build a brand, be known for something. So be known for what you know and not what you have. You can have that certificate and it doesn't make sense. Knowledge is not the same as understanding. Information doesn't make sense if you have not applied. A lot of people have hundreds of certificates. In fact, when you come into Canada, you realize some of the certificates were acquired in Nigeria. You just push them somewhere. Some of them you have to remove them from our CV, from our resume. I'm telling you the truth. I've seen a lot of people that will say, go and hide your MBA. And I'm wondering why. Right? But the truth is not you acquiring the certificate. Don't just get the certificates. Get the knowledge and ensure that you have an avenue to apply what you know. You know, what you know doesn't make sense until you apply it. It doesn't make sense to anybody that you have information that you have not applied. Right? So if you have to get that certificate, know your why. Why do I need this? Why do I need to get this certificate? If I don't get this, what else can I get? You know, let me share my experience. I got into Canada January this year, and I decided I'm going to build a brand first, that I'm not going to start searching for job first. And then I started on the journey of building a brand. And then someone, in fact, Stoba was one of the people that reached out to me to say that, why you do? And then I said, I realized that if I build a brand, the brand can get the job that I want. I want people to start looking for me. I don't want to be looking for them. I don't want to be looking for the job. I want the job to start pursuing me. And then after building that brand, I see a lot of people coming to reach out to me, indigenes, to say that, wow, you're doing a very good job. Can we have a reason why you're doing this, right? So one of the things that I've put in place was I created a blog for HR professionals in Ottawa. You know, so if you're thinking about certificate, before you can say this guy doesn't have certificate, you should be thinking about what's the knowledge, what have you done with what you have, right? Because when you come to interview, you're going to be talking about what you have done with what you have, right? So don't forget, address and readjust your mindset, then build a brand. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph, I can see fire. Too much. You were just giving us punchlines. I was trying to, Mr. Joseph, fire. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So before we address our audience question, like I said, to you, my audience, I see you. I can see you. Thank you so much for staying to this time. I promise you, in no time, we'll be out of this place. But before then, Toba Best, can we have you, please?
Okay, all right. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, I think Toby was saying something concerning you should know what is next, the big deal in your industry. And in fact, I wish I know I have it here written down, and that's exactly what we are looking at for the next phase. I think I was discussing with Margaret concerning my next move concerning a standout professional. And in fact, practically everybody on this call, I told them that I'm sure, of course, I'm sure if Desola want to speak to us, this time will not be able to. In fact, there's no time. If only Joseph want to speak, or Toby, or even the Margaret herself, you know, the reason why they are called short is because they cannot speak. There's no time for them to explain things. So you will notice when they are speaking, they will just cut up and they will say, "Oh, okay, let me just speak." So like they are valuing what they are saying and say what they are saying, and looking at the audience, saying, what exactly should I tell these people, or what among they are saving what they are saying. So to just address that and what we want to do next, and that's why I call the next phase of Standout Professional, is that we want to look at individual guests that we have. And apart from that, there was something that I saw. I think I was praying. Of course, those who know Standout Professional from beginning, you know, it has to do with God and what we believe in. Now, so I was praying and I was directed to a particular Bible passage where Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus Christ. I think Jesus Christ was passing by, and Zacchaeus, he came late because the way the story was analyzed, he came late and he was there, crowd already covered, of course, the center man that they were looking at, Jesus Christ, crowd already covered him, and the guy is already short. So many things are against him. Number one, his height. Number two, he came late. Number three, of course, people already have their ground before he came. And what he did was that he was able to, I don't know who told him, but if you want to think well, logically, you will see that there may be a mentor who told him that Jesus Christ is going to pass this road. So try as much as possible to be on this road. He was on that road, and not being on that road alone, but he looked at it that, okay, the same thing will still happen if I stay on this road. So what he did was he climbed a tree. He climbed a very tall tree, and he was standing on top of the tree. And Jesus Christ don't have options than to look up to him and got him to come down, and the rest, you know, the rest of the story. So that's exactly what we are planning for the next. We want to see, just like what Toby said, like, what is the big deal in your industry? What is the next thing, the next big stuff in your industry? Some people, I belong to CIPD here in the UK, and I think every month we have a magazine that they send to us, explaining the next 20 years, next 30 years in HR field, at least based on their permutation. You may want to have some skills that you want to build towards your career. And that's where we are coming next. So I'm begging all these great people now, and I'm asking for your commitment. Please tell me and agree with us that you will also be back here to come and help us to bridge the gap that will be coming next. Because what we're looking at next is looking at your industry. What are the big things the next 10 years? If you want to use Zacchaeus' principle to go far to the journey, climb a tree where anybody, you move around, move away from the crowd, so that by the time you look up, people can easily see you and not only your CV. All right, thank you so much. So I need a reply. Right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toba, for sharing. I believe we have all taken note of that. All right, moving on, not to waste our time. It's time for questions and answers. if you have any question, of course, I have noted some questions. Feel free to drop them, or if you want to unmute your microphone and speak, you can also do that. You can as well do that. So let me read the first question. So this person said that, how do we bridge the word pronunciation gap when we have different word pronunciation for different countries? For example, British words pronunciation to American or even Japanese or Korean. Okay. Who wants to answer that for us?
Yeah,
I can
I'll
answer
go.
that. Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Margaret, you can go.
Okay. Let me. I think I touched a
My
little bit
panelists
on
are on
that.
fire.
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on that. Your accent is your accent. I mean, you can take it away. The Chinese man would not cut off his tongue just to speak like you. When I came into the United States, my mentor, my pastor, he had a very strong accent, like very strong accent. But it was one of the key players on Wall Street in the financial sector. And he tells them, he said, I know what I'm doing. I use the screen to project. If you don't, I mean, don't pay attention to my accent, pay attention to what I'm giving to you. And it's been there, it's been on the job over 20 years and it's gotten to the peak. So your accent is not a limitation, but it is important to try to make, I mean, good communication is what we all try for. And if what we have is needs to be like a little polished just to bridge that gap, we want to be intentional to bridge the gap. So the pronunciation and like coming back to my example because I came in quite early. So coming from my example again, I had the British background. I had to switch, not because if I didn't switch, it would have affected anything. But if I would be writing, um, doing analysis and writing out power recommendations to big organizations, I want to present it in a way that would not throw them off. Again, presentation is key. So currently, like I said, when I started my career, I came in as a recruiter. I mean, I came in as HR, but focus more on the BA part of it, which is what I'm still in the same line. So even though I'm not like HR anymore, I'm still part of the business process, which means um, I transitioned in my career and being intentional and staying in, like Toby said earlier, what is the tomorrow of your career? When I came in the United States at that point, recruitment was like the least of it. Um, just being an HR was the least of the ladder. They pay the least, even though the job is more impactful because you're meeting more people. But to me, I didn't just want to, I mean, doing that is good, but the money too was important for me. So I chose the area that had more potential and the one that had the future for tomorrow. Um, and if we see today, recruitment is like the least of it because now, yeah, power tools that can, you would do the first and second stage interview without having to speak to nobody or see nobody. They just tell you put the cameras and you do every, I mean, so it's eliminating the first stage of people interaction. Now going back to what Toby said, the Power BI that would help you analyze this data that would do. So those are the future. So going back to language and you cannot, there's some accent that cannot just go away, but you have to be intentional. Like someone said is, oh, forget my accent, forget the way, if I'm too fast, let me know. If I'm too slow, let me know. But you make it intentional that your communication is it's an effective communication. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Margaret, for sharing, as always. Any other addition?
I'll just be very quick. So when it comes to learning accents, one of the things I have done is, like Margaret said, you're not going to be able to change your accent even if you wanted to, and there is no need to try to fake it. But understand the word structure and the pronunciation for that country. I mean, I know Desola will relate to this. My first manager, the director when I got my first job, is Scottish, and he moved here. And Scottish people, yeah, and so Scottish people have a very understand what why certain words. What are you have to see also just with you that speaks only and then the active like that we speak good.
Sorry, is it just me or the mic is breaking?
I think I'm also
Okay.
having the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toby
Okay,
is
you know what?
breaking.
Sorry.
I thought it was my
Can you
network.
hear me now? Just
Yeah, it's good.
can you hear me good?
No, the voice is low, pretty low.
Is it still low? Is it still low? Can you hear me now?
Okay, it's getting better.
Getting better. Is it better now?
Not
Sorry.
loud, but we
Not
can
loud.
manage.
Okay, sorry. How good is it now?
Still the same.
Still the same. Sorry, I
Yes.
apologize. I don't know what's going on, but I'm speaking as loud as I can. Also try.
We'll manage.
Okay, so can you hear? Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So it's fine now. Thanks, Michael. So what I was saying is, I don't know where you stopped hearing me, but what I was saying is that people have accents. Like even a Canadian or an American, when they go to Britain, the British will complain about their accents. But it all comes down to that cultural awareness. And I was going to say that if you speak as a Nigerian and you pronounce your words, they will understand what you're saying. And they always say that we Nigerians speak good English. And one of the reasons is because they are also, because I'm trying to, also kind of come from their own point of view. Most of the people immigrants that come here don't have English as their first language. So they always assume that English is not our first language. It's our official language. So you have people that come from Francophone countries. That's why they will ask you the question, well, did you learn English when you got here? In the US, you have the Latinos that probably speak Spanish or Portuguese and as their first language. So when they come, they have to actually learn English. So anyway, long story short is, please make YouTube your friend. You'll find someone who has done an analysis of these different pronunciations, and that will definitely help you. Because at the end of the day, it's communication. You want them to understand you. We can go the route of, you have to try to understand me, because honestly, we left our own country to come to their country. So we have to make some effort so that they can understand. I totally believe in cultural diversity. I totally believe in all the things that we're doing with the diversity to be accommodating to people. But I will also think about, as a Nigerian, I had a Scottish manager as well when I was in Total, and we found it hard to understand him, and he had to make effort to slow down and speak in a way that we can understand, so that communication can happen.
Thank you so much. Mr. Toby, you want to speak? Mr. Joseph, rather. You want to speak?
Yes, let me just see if I can add a few things.
Mm.
The truth is, learn to focus on your strength and not your weakness. There's a level you get to that does not matter how you pronounce it, church, whatever. As far as you can offer value, right? Your accent is part of your brand. Let your accent, however, you can improve on it if you have to. I'm still working on mine. I want to be able to be, speak British or whatever, but it's not my priority. There is difference between accents and being articulate. What should be your priority, your focus is being articulate. can I speak in such a way that people will hear me, understand what I'm saying, and be able to process my words, right? So accent is not the same as being articulate. I've been in gathering, where we have the indigenes, the Canadians. And then when we speak, they of course, they understand. And that's how I got to realize that there's difference between accent and articulate, being articulate. A lot of them will come to me and say, Joseph, one thing we like about you is you are very articulate. And in my mind, I'm thinking with this accent, and then I said, no, I think it's high time you focus on being articulate, your strength, and not the accent, their accent. Do you know that Nigerians can write very well, right? I've seen indigenes that when they write, you are struggling to interpret what they are saying. You are struggling. And then I said there should be a balance. I've come to you, I can write very well. In fact, when I even speak, you can understand me. However, like Toby said, I have loads of videos I downloaded, such that I can use to learn and then upgrade myself, So, and at the same time, if you have to change, maybe you have to change some of the movies. Back then in Nigeria, I used to like African Magic, forget. Right? So you have to change your movies, right? If you desire to have it, right? Change your movies, change, sometimes association too. But for me, I think you should just focus on being articulate, like Margaret said. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Can I just add one thing to it? I think it's on the back of being articulate, because communication is very key. And we don't need to use big words. We need to keep it simple. Because when we keep it simple, people understand us. You don't need to use the dictionary to pick up the big words. You're not impressing anybody. And that is one thing that is very important, because we have very strong accent as Nigerians and we can't change it anyway. And when you try to fake it, they know you're faking it. So being true to yourself and be yourself, but they must be able to understand you. Secondly, if you don't understand them, ask the question. Don't keep quiet, because you look stupid or foolish when you are not answering the right question. So it's very important to say two-way things with communication. So don't also go there or speak and second-guessing yourself as a victim. So you've already defeated yourself. It means your confidence is gone. So you need to be confident. You need to believe in yourself. And that's what's going to help you to bridge that gap.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a lot of questions. So I'll quickly take this one. This is directed to Mr. Toby specifically. So the person said that people say processing a work visa or permits to Canada from Nigeria is not possible. How true is this? Secondly, aside from the big consulting firm, are there other companies in Canada that employ people from Nigeria? The person said Mr. Toby should answer.
Okay, very quick answer. Number one, it is possible, because I know people who have left Nigeria on a work permit that was sponsored before they relocated. Apart from the big companies, any tech company that is looking, so the way it works is this: the company has to prove to the government that they cannot find somebody local to do the job. So this will span tech jobs. This will span even some trade jobs. So trade jobs will be like carpenters, but there are certifications that are required for some of those jobs. Nurses, for instance, because of, for instance, the Philippines, there are provinces that are actually shipping in nurses from the Philippines because the medical field is lacking enough professionals. But for those professions, so for the Philippines, I hear that their nursing courses that they do has been certified by the provincial government or the national government in Canada. So that transition is very easy for them. But Yeah, so they're actually beyond like big fours. There are companies, well, as long as you can prove that you can find the skill sets here, like, you know, like developers, for instance, it's hard to find them here. But if you have that skill set, you have the experience, some companies, some tech companies might be able to bring you here on a work permit.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Lekon. So very quickly, someone has like 7 questions for us. I think the first one has been answered already about culture shock. The second one, she said, specific ways and websites to apply for international jobs. Can you recommend specific websites or ways to apply for international job? I just need one person to answer so that we can jump to the next one.
Okay.
I don't know of any specific. No, sorry, go, Thomas.
No, please go. I just wanted to say that the people that we have on this call are already people that are in their field already. So I'm in the market, maybe I'll be able to help. So a lot of, so it depends on the country where you are, that will determine the type of, where, for instance, let me speak for the UK now. So for the UK, we have Total Job, we have Indeed Job, we have Indeed that is for general, we have Indeed Flex. Apart from that, we have job centers, we have, so this website, sometimes you cannot access them until you get to the UK, you know, because so even for the Indeed Flex, there was something I had to do on my phone to change it to UK line before, or UK map before I could access something. So I think those things also matter. Then for the international jobs, the best one that I know that will not fail anyone is the aspect of the LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is everywhere. It's not a website. You can just go on LinkedIn and you will see they are looking for job. Connect. I noticed that many people, especially our people, will connect with people around us alone. That's not good. Look around, search people, look for people in your industry that you can get them, write them a mail, send them a message, or maybe a recruiter you can easily get. So from there you get information, from information you get another information. Then the last one that I also know is the aspect where you have to do with your community. Everybody has been talking about building community. So you can look for maybe the HR in UK or the HR in Canada or the HR in, so at least find yourself in a space. And once you get there, I'm sure one way or the other, you have the opportunity to also, because you are intentional, there's something you want to know. So you also have opportunity to meet somebody or maybe chat somebody or volunteer to do something. And because from there you can move ahead. Yeah. So that's for me.
Thank you so much, TB, for sharing that. We need to run. So I have another question here.
Sorry, okay. Can I just give you a practical, for the people asking that question, I'll give you a practical step or a strategy that you can use to search for whatever you're looking for, especially on LinkedIn.
Ready for it.
I'm going to type that. Okay, so let's say we're looking for iTech.
Okay.
iTech and where? Let's say Ottawa or on Ottawa, yeah.
Mr. Joseph, can you project your screen so we can see?
I'm not project. I'll send you via chats. iTech.
Okay. Okay.
Ottawa and Ontario.
Okay.
So put that in LinkedIn search and you get what you're looking for. And if you're searching for recruiters, do the same thing. Can you see the charts?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
So if you're looking for recruiters, just go straight with recruiters. That's it.
Okay.
Right. So if you have to be strategic in everything you're doing.
Somebody is hacking LinkedIn. Somebody is hacking LinkedIn.
We have So it's looking like a code, but you just have to be strategic.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. That's so valuable. All right. So this question says to our speakers, if they could go back to correct something in their career, knowing all they know now, what would they do differently? That's some strategic questions. I need just one person to go for that so that we can move on because we are far behind schedule.
Can I just say something to that? I said, if I was going to go back in my career and correct something, I think one of the things I would correct is networking quite early.
Okay.
It's very important. Getting into the area that you really want to thrive in. So everything we've said today about being specific, being strategic, being very clear, knowing your why is very, very key from the beginning. Don't be a jack of all trades. You can't do everything. You need to think of where you want to specialize. So once you know what you want to do, you're able to know where you want to build your network. Oluwale has just shared with you on how to search. If you notice how he's written it, you need to put this, what's it called now? It's gone off my head now. In the parentheses or whatever it is around it. If you don't put it, it won't pull out those specific information you're looking for. This is about searching. And so it's about networking for me. And networking is very key in everything that you do. Don't network with everybody. You don't need them. Network with the people, the community that you need.
Thank you so much, Ma, for
So I'll go next. And I think Bisola just picked that from my mouth. And but my own version is to balance my network. If I have the opportunity to go back to the past, is to actually balance my network. So if I check my contacts on my LinkedIn, I have about 95% of Africans, not even African, Nigerians. And then I got into Canada and then I realized that, come on. So when I'm posting, I'm sorry to say this, my post is not actually to attract more of Nigerians anymore. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm sorry. And that doesn't stop you from reading my posts, making comments, likes, but I'm writing to build a network of where I am now, to increase my network where I am now, right? Because I need that more than where I'm coming from now to be able to survive where I am at this time. I have built a lot around, and then people can easily trust me. They know who I am, what I do. But I'm in a new environment where I need to build, a new network of people. So that balance is something that I should have done about 5 years before now. Right? So it's not until when you get into a place that you start building a network. Build it before you step into a territory. Right? Build your tribe before you get into that tribe. Is that fine? So that will aid your smooth, agenda. So don't just start building when you get into, it's just like when you want to build a house, you start with planning. So start planning before you move or before you relocate. Who are the people you will need now in your network? Start understanding, how do I connect with, how we connect. It took me time to realize that how we connect in abroad is different from how we connect in Africa. In Africa, if you just send me a LinkedIn connect, I will accept. But in abroad, I realized that if you send, they will not connect because there's no message to it. In fact, someone even replied me and asked me and said, so tell me, why should I connect with you? I said, wow. But very interesting question, right? He asked a very interesting question. Why should I connect with you? You sent me a request. But if you send a request in Africa, we just accept it without any message. So learn how to connect and how to sustain your network. I realized that it can be very easy to connect. But sustaining your network is where the work is. And sustaining your network comes with value. So when you are connecting not because of what you want to get, what you want to gain, right? So I'm telling you, mistakes from the past. You want to connect because you want to get a job. That's not the reason for connection, for building a network, right? So that's what I feel that, you know, we need to start working on. Lessons from the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, as always. Thank you so much. Okay. So this question says, what are the 3 major deal breakers for international employers? 3 major deal breakers for international employers.
I can quickly answer that. Sorry, I might have to drop. I was just messaging Tola. So someone has talked about mindsets today. I'll say mindsets. I'll say your professional expertise. So what you know and what you're able to do. And then I'll say presentation. So 3 things to keep in mind: mindset, expertise, presentation. Presentation is how you sell yourself. You might have the best expertise. If you don't know how to sell yourself, unfortunately, they will not believe that you have what you said you have. So selling yourself in an interview, selling yourself in demonstrating the work. I'll go to mindset. And I cannot stress this too much. When I've interacted with a lot of Nigerians, I did mention before that there was a time I was mentoring about 50 people. Most of them in Canada, I will say most of them in Canada, but a few in Nigeria. And those in Nigeria are also thinking of moving. There's a certain mindset we have in Nigeria. Is like an anything goes mindset. Is like I can outsmart people mindset. Is like you have to come to my terms mindset. Is a dishonest mindset. I've seen people here who will try to get. I've seen someone, let me just give that experience, who tried to get 2 jobs at the same time. Well, not 2 jobs at the same time. He tried to use his current job that he just got to negotiate a higher salary for another offer that was coming, and he lost out on both. So for me, it's a lack of sincerity. You got the job, you said you were fine with the salary, you were interviewing with someone else, they gave you an offer, you told them, okay, this money is not enough, please increase it, and then they increased it. And then you were stalling them, you didn't confirm the offer. You now went back to your new employer to say that, oh, someone else just offered me another job. This person, when I spoke with him, he said in Nigeria, if he, because he's an HR person, if he is the one, he would increase the offer just to keep that employee. But the Canadian man is still seeing that as dishonesty, right? So he went back to try to negotiate because he had another offer. And then this guy tells him, okay, if you want to go to that company, you can go. We don't need you here anymore. And I was like, oh, no, I will stay. I've thought about it again. No, we don't need you here. And they actually ran him out. By the time he was going to call the other people to say that, okay, I'm now ready to accept the offer, they said, sorry, the offer has expired. So he lost out on 2 offers. One was already a job that he had. And the reason I'm saying this is there has to be a shift in your mindset. You have to come to a place where you will tell yourself that some of the things that are acceptable in Nigeria might not be acceptable here. Work ethics mindset has to change. We've talked about first name basis and all of those things. Yeah, my father, my mother might still visit me. I'll still prostrate and greet them as a real Yoruba man, but I can't do that to any other person. Even if you go to church and you call some white people sir, they're looking at you like, and this is someone that's probably old enough to be your grandfather or your grandmother. So mindset has to change. And then the other thing I talked about is what you have. So we've talked about this. Have the right skill set. Have what they are looking for. Know what they are looking for so you can have it. When you have it, it becomes an advantage because you're bringing value.
Yes, I'll say thank you. Thank you everyone for having me. Might have to drop
Thank
now,
you,
but
Toby. Thank
thank
you
you very
for
much.
honoring. Thank you for honoring our
All right.
request. It was a pleasure. Thank you. So I think we are going to have our final question. Mrs. Margaret, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Toby. Yeah, we'll connect after this. Good to see you again. Yeah, I just wanted to add a little to what Toby said. So for me, Toba can testify that the first thing I say is the favor of God. That's why I emphasize to say you want to make a move, is God really in your business? I came into this country alone with a visiting visa, but within the first 6 months, I got my 10 years permanent residence without having to do anything illegal or fraudulent. And that's how I've been. And so I feel like the favor of God is the first thing that that's priceless. It has nothing to do with what you know or what you've done. I mean, Bible says it's not him that willeth or runneth, but it's God that showeth mercy. He said, Paul watered, Paul planted, Apollo watered, but God giveth the increase. You've gone to school, you've gotten all the required certification. Um, Sometimes you see people like Mr. Oluwale said that have these jobs with no certification and they are flourishing. It's so for me, I don't want to take that out of the equation. Not meaning that you shouldn't do anything and expect God to do everything. You still need to do what you need to do because He say whatever your hand findeth to do, do it with all your might. And when God wanted to bless Moses, He didn't bless Moses from things that were not. He didn't use anything abstract. He asked Moses, "What is in your hands?" And He used that rod to create the miracle, to create that thing that even the Egyptians couldn't. They couldn't but acknowledge that it was God. So there has to be something, which means you have to have an education, either formal or informal education. So for whatever you intend to do, you have to be equipped and be intentional about it. However, once you've done all you can do, the next is for God to give you that favor. So favor for me as an immigrant is one thing that's played all the roles. I can tell you I mean, I work for the government at some point, but every view I'm giving as a disclaimer is my view, not based on what the government says. But I've been working for the government for a couple of years now. And the roles I have occupied are roles that people ask me, and I thought you said you just came to this country. How did you find yourself here? And I tell them it's favor. When I would share it now because again, I don't want to just speak. My first job, I got on the job. I don't know how I got on the job. I know I only told God that at a certain time I needed a job, and this is the kind of job I want. And when the job came up and I started working, my supervisor told me one day, "Oh, let's go on a walk." And whilst we're going, she told me what happened. We interviewed. Somebody had 1 point more than me, and the 1 point the person had more than me was because the person had their first degree in the United States, but mine was in back in Nigeria. So that was the one reason that person got a higher stand than me. And because the recruitment law says whoever is at the top must be hired. And she said, this lady is better than this other person 100%. And just so because of that 1 point, you want to give the other person. They're like, that's the rule and that's what you have to follow. And she said, okay, then let's do it this way. She went on the recruitment list and found out all the open vacancies that there was. And she said, okay, this candidate, where can she fit in all those um, vacancies? Talking about the other person. And they spotted the position for her. She said, okay, transfer that person there, but Margaret needs to come work for me on this project. And that's how they offered me the job. Again, I wasn't there. I didn't know her before. She's an American. She had nothing to do with Africa. She has no African background, but she chose me because she said number one, she's qualified. Number two, she's somebody that I think can support my team. So that's where the favor plays into it. So at that point, it's not because of what I know. It's not because of what was on my resume. It's because God put somebody there to fight for me, and I got that job. And ever since then, it's been roller coaster for me. Now I don't need to. People call me. I saw your resume. I saw your resume, and it's my own now time to say, do I want or no? What am I trying to say? The favor cannot be. You can now downplay that. The second thing is again is your confidence. I have an accent as an African. I can't take that away from me. But again, like Brother Joseph, sorry, Mr. Joseph said, you don't want to, you don't want to. I'm sorry, the church in me came in. I'm sorry.
No, we're in church. Preach it. Feel free.
So Mr. Joseph said something that you don't focus on what you don't have. You have an accent, you can't take it away. It's an accent. But if you dwell on your accent when you have an opportunity to showcase who you are, then you're already giving yourself -50 before they even start speaking. Be confident. You have an accent, yeah, that's fine. That's why I'm African. But what I know you need it. What I can offer is priceless. Again, I've been an interviewer. I told them my own point of view. I'm not proud, but it's more than yours because you are limited to the confinement of the United States. I've been able to travel to more than 3 continents, and I've interacted with people from different walks of life. So for me, I'm another advantage to your team. And so be confident with what you know and you bring into the table. The third one I would say is your work ethics. It's very important for us to understand where the setting we find ourselves. As individuals, I wouldn't want to place it on any race or any background. As individuals, we tend to be relaxed and we drop our work ethics when we get comfortable. But your work ethics is key. You have to maintain some level of work ethics. If you can do all of that's a big catch to any international employer. Once they see that for all the jobs I've left, my supervisors never come to work. My last day of work, when I'm resigning, they don't come to work because they're crying. They're like, "We can't let you go, and we can't see you leave." So they don't come to work, and that's how much impact I create on every job because I'm intentional and I make sure I maintain some level of work ethics. So those 3 things for me: the favor of God, your confidence, and your work ethics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So much value. So much value. We have to close, but I have this one final question, and it's very important I ask because we've been talking about ourselves like as employees, but this time around, I want to talk about employers. So the question says, what are the things to look out for when one is applying for international jobs that shows that that organization is not a good place to work? I find this question very interesting because just like you said, it's a two-way thing, employee versus employer. So let's wrap up with this. Who is going?
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Let you first.
Okay, so I would say I've been I've been on that side for a while just because my role has exposed me. Some of my roles in the past have exposed me to that. So as an employee trying to get a job, not all job postings are worth your stress.
Right.
You need to for every interview, I always ask this question when they say, "Do you have any questions?" My question is, "How long has this role been open, and why is the role vacant, and what is key for you on this role?" If you know how long it's been open, or it will give you an idea of the people interviewing, the work culture, and what they're looking for. If you know why it's open, it's vacant, oh, somebody transitioned into another role, somebody resigned. Why did the person resign? Is something you want to look at. You want to see why that position is open. So not all open vacancies are the best fit for you, even if it matches. The work culture is. You can Google. That's why we have Google. There's nothing you can check on Google. And if you go to Google, you will see how many times that particular role has been posted on all the job sites. you can find that out. So if you see there is something that's been open for 2-3 years, you should know that there's something you need to ask more questions. That doesn't mean that you should outrightly decline the interview. Yours might be the different, you might be the game changer. But it's good for you to understand why everything is where it is. And if you can do that little research, I'm sure it would help you make your informed decision.
Thank you so much. Research.
And
Any
I
other
just can I add to that? I think Margaret took it from the fact that you were even invited to the interview. So I'm looking at it from you not knowing about, you are not even invited. You're just about to apply. And I think that is one thing we also need to bear in mind. And Margaret talked about you making Google your friend. Google has to be your friend. And we've talked a lot about being intentional with all those things and being confident, knowing who you are, knowing your expertise. Those are the first things you need to check about yourself before applying for any job. Don't just drop your CV for everything and all things. You have to make sure that you're looking at that organization. So if you see a job that you're interested in, you can Google. For instance, in UK, you have Glassdoor, and it will tell you the reviews of people who have worked in that organization. Not that you get all the stories, not that all the stories are the same. You hear both positive and negative. So it's not left for you to decide, do I want to apply to that organization? Secondly, when you go on the organization's website, you'll be able to look at their ethos, their code of conduct. You look at their values. What's their vision? Does that align with what you want? Are they going to be a good employer? Most good employer in UK will have it stated there, but there's always a cultural thing in every organization. It's called the organizational culture, which you may not be privileged to know about until you join that organization. And like Margaret said, sometimes not all jobs are actually open for people to apply to. So it's also part of things you won't know if you're on the other side. It's only when you come in closer that you begin to get all this information. So the best thing for you to do is for you to know, do I really want this job? Does it meet what I need? Will this be a best fit for me? So, and all these questions should be directed to you. You're the one to answer the questions first before you apply for those roles or that organization. And if you're curious enough, LinkedIn is there. You can go on LinkedIn and search the organization, people who work in the organization. Look at their profile and you learn more. It's all down to you doing your personal research. There is no one size fits all, and there's no formula to this. It's about experience, doing it yourself, and getting to know more.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Joseph is smiling.
So let me just say, I'll just add one or two to what they said, both
Okay.
Bisola and Margaret. The first thing is, you must understand that your career is your business and manage it like a CEO. And if you are the CEO of your business, what would you do? A CEO is coming to meet with another CEO to discuss, which means you are not going to the table being desperate. So the moment you realize that you are a CEO, you have that confidence, right? And then what are you now looking for? I am looking for value alignment. Let me say this to you. Not all open doors are yours to enter. Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, not all doors that are open are yours to enter. You are going right in there to just negotiate. Is there value alignment? Someone called me for a job yesterday, and honestly speaking, I was telling the lady that I'm not sure I'm interested. Because the way she was selling the organization, I felt, no, this is not something I need to, it's going to be a waste of time from discussion, from conversation. So there's something we call employer value proposition. So from the point at which someone is speaking to you about a job, you should attract or repel. Values attract value. Who you are will attract something. Whatever you attract is a reflection of who you are. Right? So, what kind of organization are you attracting? That's the question. So, define your value. Know where you belong. The truth is, until you're able to define who you are, define your value, you won't understand which market you can play. Every market is not your market. Every marketplace is not your place. You can't work for every organization. And why do you think you cannot work for every organization? Because you have identified your strengths, your weaknesses, your values. And then cultural fits, like Desola said. Am I fit into the culture of this organization? I said it several times that at this point, at this level, I'm not sure I can work with an organization that does not work the least hybrid. But that you want me to come and work a full-time, be in the office every Monday to Friday, I'm not sure I want to do that. That does not mean that the organization is bad. It just means that there is no value alignment. So you are not choosing where to work because of what they don't do right. It's not just because of what they are not doing right. Sometimes it's just because your value does not align. Right? And sometimes, let me say this, sometimes God is saving you from getting into a toxic environment by not giving you a job, but you are crying over it. Don't cry over it. I have learned from experience that whatever I don't get is not released from heaven. So there's no point crying over it. Whatever God is not giving to you now is a sign that there's something better that is coming your way. It is better to lose it now and get the best tomorrow than to have it and it looks like the least you are expecting. Right? So know your brand, because your brand will determine what brand to attract, where you want to play in the field. Thank you.
Ha! So much value, so much value. I can't begin to express my excitement. Even as a moderator, I have like 2 pages filled with nuggets. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Margaret. Your video is off. Thank you, Mrs. Adesola. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Very, very deep words of wisdom. Thank you, Mrs. Taiwo. I can't see her as well. I think she must have left. And of course, Mr. Toby, thank you so much for honoring Toba Best's request. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'm going to be in your DM on LinkedIn because this value cannot pass me by. I think I looked up Mrs. Adesola and Mrs. Margaret on LinkedIn. I can't find them yet. Please, I hope you're on LinkedIn so I can connect with you because this value must not pass me by. I have to be mentored, automatic mentorship. Granted. Thank you so much. Hello to my audience. Thank you so much for sticking around. It's 7 o'clock Nigerian time. I hope you got value just like I did, because this is 3 hours. 3 hours of impact, 3 hours of value. Thank you so much for staying with us till this very time. I hope you have gotten all of the tips that you need to start this journey of migration. Migration is sweet too, but the best thing is to be led and for you to do it the right way. Mr. Toba Best, you want to wrap up this session for us as we...
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Let me start with you. Thank you, Temi. Thank you so much. Thank you, my team. I'm grateful. To my lovely wife, my sweetheart. Thank you. She's already preparing something that I will eat at the end of this lovely program. So thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. I told almost all of them, I told them that it's going to be 2 hours or mass, and they are still here. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you. I don't know where to start, but thank you so much. And I pray that God will lift you and God will bless you also. Thank you for honoring us. And I will definitely be on your neck to come very soon, very soon again. And remember, don't look up. I'm calling you back very soon.
Well, don't call me auntie because you can get fired.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Chuck.
No,
Don't let
Margaret, you started that. You have called me Brother Joseph.
Brother
You have the permission to say.
I know, right?
And the truth is, honestly speaking, Margaret, I think I appreciate your value. I know where you're coming from. Just keep it up. I like that fire within you. If you so much depend on God's grace, right, you will never be disappointed in life.
You see,
never.
The only thing that can sustain you in life is God factor. The moment you take it out of yourself, you will become nothing. And I've seen that. Let it continue to play. And the truth is, you have not started.
Yes,
you have not started.
I know.
Something big is coming.
I know.
So just keep watching out.
I know.
For us, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Ma. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I am proud. I am proud of Toba. Like he said, like I watch him grow. So I watch him grow from a little child into a man. So I'm very super proud of him. And I told him, as much as I can be supportive of your journey, I'll always be there. So proud of you, Toba, once again. Very proud. We are all proud. Grandma is proud of you. Everybody's proud. She's listening, so everybody's proud of you.
Mama. Thank you.
Don't say that on the live stream. You can be fired.
Right. Thank you. And so much thanks to Desola. I'm grateful. Thank you so much for your private. She has been mentoring me, just like what everybody said. Like when you are going to a place, they said, don't worry, I will send you people that will help you. So she's someone that God has sent to me in the United Kingdom. If I'm not be disturbing you, there's somebody that I've been speaking to, so she's the one. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. And to my mentor, we're always together. I'm with you always. Thank you so much, sir. I'm grateful. And to Toby and the TDA, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. I can't say it all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Temi, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's time to go. I hope you enjoyed yourself. For me, I had a great time. It was nice meeting you, everyone, to our panelists and our keynote speaker. Thank you to everyone. I wish you a wonderful night rest and a great weekend ahead. Bye until we see again.
All right, bye. Yeah, Tammy, I'm on LinkedIn. Just talk to Toba. I'm on LinkedIn.
All right, thank you, ma.
Okay.
It's on LinkedIn, but decoded.
All right, take care.
Nice meeting everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
Uncle Toba, you enjoy, huh?
Good to see you,
Mary, now you be that. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Scott.
Do we have our people in Canada?
Well, the people you have with me. Thank you.
It's Cap, is Nigerian Canada style, the UK style.
Yeah. I want to represent,
We are part of our culture, sir.
Yeah, very well.
Canada.
Very well.
Mr. Toba,
yeah?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm asking, do we have our HR Foundry people in Canada?
Definitely, sure. They are everywhere in the whole world.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be in your DM shortly.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Pastor Lekon, thank you. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Maybe this is somebody on the YouTube audience. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you, and we pray that God will bless you and God will also lift you. We want to say a very big thank you for joining us today, and very soon we'll call you back to be on the Standout Professional. Right. Just please hit the like button and also the subscriptions button. Thank you so much. We love you. And we pray that God bless you. Let's take Jesus to the world. Right. Thank you. Bye.